Well, dude, Ryan, thanks for joining, man.
Thank you. Happy
Yeah.
to be here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Caught me at the right time. I fly tomorrow, so
Yeah, you're all over the place.
I'm off to L.A., Dallas, Baton Rouge. Yeah. So I start Kid Rock.
Oh, no shit.
Back with Kid Rock. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's doing a thing called Rock the Country Tour, festival tour. It's gonna be Kid Rock, Nickelback out of all bands. Last year we had Jason Aldean, and then it's gonna be Hank Williams Jr. and Leonard Skinner and a bunch of other bands.
Yeah, that's a badass lineup.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
All right, so I mean, I guess we'll jump into it. For the people that don't know, you do personal security. You do a lot of celebrities. You've been in it 21 years,
21
I believe. You've
22.
traveled over 55 countries, so it's taken you all over the world. It's a pretty cool career, but it's not all glamour and saving lives and you're getting to sit on the beach while your client's sitting there. There's a lot of logistics and a lot of bullshit that come with the security world, and I want to dive into all of that. But before we do it, obviously you already know Christian, which is cool. C-State Coffee.
Good guy.
Something that I do here on the podcast, and obviously you said you had a cigar line as well, but I give veterans, law enforcement, chance to send us things and completely free, and then we plug them on the episode, and hopefully people hear it and support veterans. And then obviously the War Machine, we talk about him a lot on this podcast. He was a combat Marine, got out, became a cop, got shot in the line of duty. And then he started his cigar line, so we'll make sure we send you home with some of those. And obviously, the C-State Coffee and
cool.
all that good stuff. So, yeah, it's just kind of a little thing that I like to give back to the veteran law enforcement or whoever just has a small company or brand. And as we grow, I want to help other people kind of grow along with us and kind of our little way of giving back. But, all right, dude, let's dive into it, man. Where the hell are you from?
Born and raised in Los Angeles County.
Okay.
I lived in different cities in LA County my whole life. Anywhere from Torrance, Pomona, Rancho Cucamonga was further out.
Yep.
I just bounced around LA. My dad had a government job, so he would just move from city to city, and we would follow along with him.
Yeah.
So my mom was an educator, so a counselor. And, I went to college in Kansas after I left LA.
Got out for a little bit.
Got a football scholarship and got a little bit of culture shock. And, Kansas didn't know what to do with me. A tattooed kid with a blonde mohawk showed up, and a surfer, 350-pound surfer.
Yeah, you were definitely not looking like everybody else out in Kansas.
Everyone thought I was Samoan.
Oh, really?
Yes, the tattoos did it for him. In my size, really. I went to Kansas, lived there for a few years, played ball, graduated, and then off I was going with the rock star, starting with Pearl Jam.
So after football, how did you roll? I mean, you're a large human being.
Sure.
And how tall are you?
How tall? I'm 6'2".
Okay, yeah, you're a big boy. So, so how did that transition start? Because I've had on Elliot. He's a Boise State football player here, and it was cool listening because not a lot of people will get to hear the athlete transition, which I feel can be a hard time because you grow up your whole entire life. I played football all the way up until pretty much joining the military, and it was either college or military. Yeah. But I feel it's very similar to how veterans or law enforcement guys get out because it's your life, it's your identity. You've done it since Pop Warner. Your senior game's done, which a lot of guys have probably already graduated in their senior year already. Yeah. And then poof, I mean,
they dump you right out into the street, into the world, right?
Off to the big leagues.
Yeah, I was one of the 3% of the student athletes in Kansas at the time that graduated. Right, because a lot of guys don't have any plan to graduate. No plans at all. No, they don't have any plans for after university. So they take BS credits throughout the university experience, like, bowling and whatever else they didn't skate through. And then they just go out to the world and go back home and do whatever crap they were doing before they went to university.
Interesting.
And the college has no care in the world of what you do because you're spent up and spit out. So if you're going to the NFL, that's one thing. But once you go to the NFL, you no longer care about the university. It's all business, So I was one of the 3% that was graduating. I hurt my leg on TV, actually, against Illinois. And dislocated one of my quadriceps, and it retracted all the way to my hip. That was about it. That was it for me. At that point, I had to start thinking about what I was going to do. And, they don't deal back in 2000. They didn't really care about CTE or the concussions or any of that stuff. I mean, I knew one guy that got black shirted in college, but he was at Purdue University. But they don't care what happens to you. They get out of having surgery with you, therapy and stuff. They do what they have to do to get you back on the field, not to get you back on your feet for life. So once I realized that the university didn't really care about me, I started making my own plans, right? So I started looking for a job. I want to be a firefighter or a cop, just like every football player, coming out. But I had a degree, so I wanted to find something a little bit different. LAPD at the time was spending more money on football or college graduates to roll into academy.
Okay.
So I plan on doing that, and I ended up circling back to that at some point. But so I met a guy named Pete Beadle in Kansas City. He owned a company called MPB Companies in Kansas City, Kansas. And he was doing security for Rage Against the Machine, Christina Aguilera, and Pearl Jam at the time, and a few other bands. Foo Fighters were, I think, just hitting the scene. And I was 6'2", 350 with a college degree, and I had tattoos everywhere. So a tatted down guy from L.A., and a lot of his clients were in L.A. all the time. So he had to fly people from KC to L.A. to go work with him, and it was getting old. So he was like, go back to L.A., I'll get you the Eagles, I'll get you all these people to work with, and keep your hands to yourself, big boy. And, you make a bunch of money, you into it? I'm like, yeah, I'm into it. So, at that time, I was 22, and he's offering me $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I'm rich. I was making $40 at the bar at the old Jet Lag Lounge, And I'm like, I'm in. So he said, you're going to get a phone call, I'll give you a laptop, pack your bag for 9 days, and you're off around the world, and you might not ever go home. And I was like, sweet, I'm into it.
No shit.
So I did a couple of things with the Eagles, some stuff with Korn and Blink-182. I just get my feet wet. I never worked in a concert. I never even went to a concert in my life.
And here you are, like at a
security director
at a Korn concert, which is probably pretty wild.
Yeah, catching crowd surfers in a barricade, being in charge, running a barricade efficiently so people don't fall on their heads, and like make sure no one gets on stage. And it was nothing like what I thought it would be.
Okay.
When you think of bodyguard, you don't think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Catching 100 people in an hour. So I got thrown in the deep end and I swam. I didn't sink. So he's like, pack your bag, going out with Pearl Jam. That was my first job out of college, was Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder, and everything else. So a 3-man team went out, and I just learned on the fly. I didn't know what I was doing. The band, I was huge and muscular. And
Nobody's questioned you?
Well, the band thought it was hilarious because they knew I'd never been on tour.
Oh, really?
So they just were like, hey, Ryan, come do this. Like, they thought it was hilarious. I would just run around, and, I had so much energy, and, like, he'll slow down eventually. But, I was wound tight.
I haven't found the groove yet.
Well, $2,000 a week for the first time for $40 a night. Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do whatever you want.
100%.
So they saw that. They liked it. It was refreshing for them to have me around and stuff, and I just thrived from there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so what's Pearl Jam like? I mean, the behind the scenes.
They're the coolest band ever. Eddie Vedder is like Fonzie. He's
really?
Fonzarelli.
Really?
Hey, I'm Eddie Vedder. How you doing, Ryan? You all right? Blue eyes, short guy.
Mm-hmm.
They change their set list every day. They don't play the same show twice. One of the only bands in the world that does that. They freestyle all night, 3.5-hour shows, which sucked for me because I'm sitting there at the stage for 3.5 hours in front of 20 to 50,000 people. But they would show up late. They flew a private jet everywhere. They show up around 4 or 5 p.m. They wear skateboarding clothes or clothes like we're wearing right now. They had one road case for all their wardrobe.
Really?
And I would unlock it every day and open it for them. T-shirt, jeans, T-shirt, jeans.
Really?
Yeah. So stage clothes to stage clothes, it's kind of like the same thing. And
no shit.
No hair, no makeup, no glam squad, no publicist, no nonsense.
They're just stepping on stage and just going for it.
The bass player Jeff Ament, he lives in Missoula. He turned his property into a skate park. He's a skateboarder and a basketball player. He's he's got a basketball court in his house.
No kidding.
We used to pull seats out of the arenas and steal them from like Staples Center or Madison Square Garden and put them in his house. So he has a seat from every arena in the country.
Oh, shit.
So you can sit up in all the chairs that are all labeled with plaques.
No, because you guys have access to everything, so you're able to.
Yeah, you get a carpenter up there with a drill and just drill, take it out.
So you guys were collecting stadium seats. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, and then a truck go up to his house. I mean, at Mayor, we say liberate. We don't say steal.
Okay. Yeah.
We borrowed.
Yeah, strategically acquiring.
But Jeff would get out of the car and he'd just put a skateboard down and skate to the dressing room. And he had to wear wristbands so he wouldn't mess up his bass guitar hands. In
case he fell.
He had his wrist insured. You get insurance for that. Yeah, they'd all skateboard, cigarette. Hey, what's up? Where's the dressing room at? Right there. Whatever. I'm like, hey, how you doing, Ryan? They would say, good morning. It's like 4 p.m.
They're just getting up.
They didn't care. They had no cares in the world. They're such a cool band.
No, kid, that's badass.
Yeah.
And that was your first experience.
First experience, which really spoiled me because
I was about to say that it's not. You're explaining no wardrobe. These guys just roll up. I don't have the experience you have, but I've been in that world for a while. It's not always like that.
They could be needy. Yeah, I went straight to after that. I went straight to Good Charlotte, which was a big band at the time,
Yeah,
and they were
yeah,
number one on MTV every week. Cover of the Rolling Stone magazine. They had mohawks and tattooed faces, and like their fan base was like 12 to 16.
Okay.
So I no longer am dealing with adults or stalkers or weird people, bomb threats and stuff. It was just kids everywhere. So I had to learn how to do security with Good Charlotte because I couldn't put my hands on anybody. Yelling at little kids isn't a thing.
Yep.
And they're everywhere, all the time.
Just like a herd of locusts. Just
At the hotel, yeah, no jobs, nothing. Mom and dad give them money, they just run away from home or whatever. And now all over the world, there's kids at the hotel, at the restaurant, just harassing you 24/7.
Really?
Yeah, but they don't mean anything by it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still, you got
Just being a kid.
Yeah, you're 25 years old with 14-year-olds chasing you around. It's like that's not cool. Like I'm an adult. Like get these kids out of here.
No shit.
But they're also your fans, so it's kind of like
You got to walk that fine line.
So that's how I learned how to move people quietly and be a little bit more sneaky, a little bit more fake names in the hotels, which is a thing for everybody, but it wasn't for them at the time. So like just distractions and like all kinds of things, different cars, spend a little bit more money. And that was the other thing. Pearl Jam was a Hall of Fame band with all the money in the world.
Yep.
Good Charlotte was just getting started, and they're like, well, we're only going to be famous for 3 years, so like we need to save every dollar we get. That was like their plan. They were very calculated dudes.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Kidding.
They have a crazy story, too. Like, people don't understand this. They're like some of my favorite people in the world, and I still talk to them,
Wait, so they knew going into it, they're not trying to be some global...
They're part of that machine that was like, they're a Warped Tour band, and they made it out. And
God, Warped Tours were what?
Yeah.
I hit every Warped Tour when I was in San Diego when they'd go through. God, Warped Tours were...
Yeah. A lot of the Marines were security.
Yeah. I've worked a couple of them.
You get voluntold for the Marine Corps ball.
Yep.
Yeah. I did Coachella for a long time with the voluntold guys, yeah, they have a cool story. I appreciate those guys. I respect them a whole lot. They actually helped me get my life together, to be an adult.
Really?
Yeah, it got me my own company. Like, you don't work for any companies anymore. You work for us. And, Joel Madden was dating Hilary Duff at the time, at the end of my time with them. And then I went to work for Hilary Duff for 8 years.
So you are, okay, so you're embedded with these guys.
Yeah.
So you're their head security, or are you running a team? What exactly are you doing now that you rolled from Pearl Jam to Good Charlotte? Are you is there like position that you're working toward, or is it they're just hiring you to be like the director of security and you're planning everything?
Yeah, it really depends on who the band is that you're working for, or like their budgets. How much success they've had, what their threat level is, the threat matrix.
Yeah.
I just finished with Janet Jackson. I did 6 months with her, and she has a whole different story, her family story and everything else. But if you're a Good Charlotte and you came out of Waldorf, Maryland, and you're 22 years old and you just came off a Warped Tour, you don't have the history that Janet does. So the budget stays low. Security is always the last position to get filled.
For sure.
So lighting, we need that. Sound, we need that too. Whatever else it is, lasers and stuff, that's the show. Production manager, bus driver,
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting close to our budget, but then it's like
catering, everything that goes along
exactly.
with it.
It's all part of the nut, like it all goes in the same thing. So security's a luxury out there.
Really?
Yeah, so you have to be big,
But in your world, security's everything. Because they're not worried about the stalkers, they're not worried about the threats. They're just living their life, and you're the low on the total pole in their world, but when you're looking at it like, holy shit, we are such a soft target right now, and
it's a mess. Yeah. I have a Secret Service buddy, Don McGee. He's the head of Live Nation Tech right now, which is a big job. He was Secret Service 30 years. And he shadowed me for a couple of months, and he was like, I don't know how you do this. It's a security nightmare. It's just like 360 security doesn't exist. I don't know how you do this. I'm like, this is terrible. I'm like, yeah, you just got to check the big boxes, But when you get hired, you're either one or two things or both. It could be venue security or personal. So personal is what you think of as a bodyguard.
Yep.
Venue security is a logistics guy that deals with drivers, hotels, operations people in the building, promoter mainly. And, building reps, people that make the show go. You can't just show up and do a show in a building. You need help. Where's the power? Where are the buses parking? Who's parking the buses? And then people are doing walk and shock. They're inside the arena, putting rigging points to the ceiling, hanging motors, lights, trusses, all this stuff. So it ends up being me walking out there like, all right, bus one, go here, bus two, go here. shore power, who's running generators. Like, if the whole thing you become buried in it.
I feel that's not even security.
It's not.
That there should be a different title. You're a logistics man. Something.
Here's what happens is, where's the artist bus going? Well, it goes over there. Why is it over there? And well, the production manager wanted it on shore power. Well, security wants it right here so that there's people that can see the artist getting off the bus and yell at him. We got problems. We have security problems. So park it next to the door. Well, why don't you get up and park the bus then? So it becomes your problem at some point.
Yep.
I don't get drivers. Well, who's going to tell the driver not to get autographs from the artist? Maybe it's their first day on the job. I need to go talk to the driver anyway. So why don't you just book them and give me the bill? Yeah, I can do that. So you absorb these jobs.
Okay.
And if you're good at your job, you absorb as much as you can.
Got it.
To a point where you're like busy all the time. But also you become valuable to the client. So now you could just send the client with the security guy, and he's going to take care of the hotel. He already advanced the hotel. What room we on? Let me see the floor plan. Yeah. Let's meet with the security director. Let's find out alternate entrance to the hotel. Every hotel's got an alternate entrance. It's never the front door for me. I go underground into a garage, into a service elevator, into the backside of the hotel, right into a suite. And the really nice Ritz-Carltons and the Four Seasons, they have this already set up.
That's...
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff, like even to Disneyland. If you go to Disneyland, you get the VIP tour, which I've done, 100 times in my life. It's the backside that was created for the President of the United States by the Secret Service.
Really?
So, yeah, and dignitaries and whoever. But it was for the president at the time they built it. They have their own Secret Service at Disneyland. They have their own police department on the property. Yeah, but supplemented by Anaheim PD.
Yeah,
but, you go back door and you get on the rides in the front row, and no one sees you till the ride's about to take off, and then you take off, and then you get off the other way, as everyone else, and you go right back into that secret door.
How cool is that? Though?
Yeah, it's awesome. You can do Disneyland in like 30 minutes. Yeah, it's amazing. I could never go back and like do the thing.
Oh hell no!
Spend $1,000, drag your ass around for 8 hours.
Stand in line for an hour and a half. Yeah. And then you see somebody come out of that back door, and you're like, "Motherfucker,
who's that?" And you get a gold hat with gold ears and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, there's different food and everything. You're on the backside of Disney. Yeah.
Really?
It's wild. Yeah.
So there's a whole other side of Disney that people don't even know exists.
Yeah, all the actors and all the parade floats and all that other stuff. It's massive. Yeah, Mickey Mouse got deep pockets, Yeah.
No shit. Yeah. I've never even thought of that.
Yeah, you can't just walk around if you're Michael Jackson, You can't
Makes
just
sense.
go get a corn dog and stand in line. Not going to work.
So is it all underground?
No, it's all right. It's built very specifically. Like the whole thing was planned out. Disneyland was supposed to be in Toluca Lake, which is North Hollywood.
Okay.
I only know this because I lived in Toluca Lake with Hillary Duff, Okay. And the Bob's Big Boy, I think it was Bob's Big Boy, was across the street, the original one. I don't know if you ever heard of Bob's. It was a burger joint. Yeah.
I named my iguana. I had an iguana as a child, and I named it Bob after Bob's Big Boy, actually.
They had a map of
Are they still around, by the way?
Yeah.
Are they?
Right there at Toluca Lake, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a map on the wall, and it was like the original plan for Disneyland.
Okay.
And the lake, Toluca Lake, there's an actual lake with like 50 houses around it, like massive homes. And Hillary had the biggest house at the time. She had the Barbie jet and everything else, you know what I mean? So she was the biggest Disney pop star at the time. And the Disney family still owns half the land there. But it was supposed to be there, and they couldn't get permits from LA City, and it was too expensive to get it done, so they went down the street to Anaheim, which wasn't fully developed at the time. So they've been there forever, and they thought the whole thing out very carefully. And they had a lot of input from Hollywood actors and studio producers and owners of studios of how to make this happen. Because, all the studios were Universal, and there's a whole city there, too, with the backside of that for filming. It's supposed to look cool. So
I'm like trying to, we're not Disney people. Yeah. Thank God I've never had to be a Disney dad, but I'm like trying to rack my brain as you're talking, and like, how would they, is it just how everything's laid out? You just walk from one right to another. Yeah. There's no lines.
You ever walk through Disney and you start doing this and you do that? And there's a reason for that, because there's a whole other flip side of that coin. Yeah. You don't walk in a perfect square at Disneyland. It's made very carefully. Yeah. There's a set of stairs and elevators and stuff, like Haunted Mansion's a little bit weird getting into. I don't know if you've ever been to the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, absolutely.
Like an elevator opens and you go in. Like, it's weird. An elevator is right across from that elevator, which we would go into, and go straight into that elevator, which is the ride. And then the lights are already off before you get in there, so that people can't recognize you. And I'm sitting there covering Hilary Duff, and no one even knows. They're like, "Ooh, we're in the Haunted Mansion." You don't know that someone snuck in there last second because you've been standing in line for an hour. You recognize everyone that's been standing around you for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty sneaky.
That's badass. Yeah. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so after Good Charlotte, and then Homeboy's dating Hillary Duff.
Yep.
So that was your connection. So you went from more logistics security to personal security at this point. I mean, so with what you were doing prior, were you hired for the personal at that point, or were you just taking on anything and kind of developed into the more the logistic role?
Yeah, Pearl Jam, I did venue security, so I wasn't with the band.
Okay.
They would fly in, it's like catch and release. They come to the venue, I'd be like, all right, guys, right here, pull up. And I'd take them to the dressing room, show them where the stage is at. I've been there since 7 a.m. They're there at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
So I'm basically working from 7 a.m. to like 2 a.m. That's like a shift on a show day. Mm-hmm. So when I see people working 8-hour jobs, I'm like, give me a break. You know, I've never had a 9 to 5.
For sure.
But if you're the personal guy, you're at the Four Seasons with them. You advance the hotel, vehicles that are transporting them alongside in tandem with me, and I catch and release. So they do the show, send them straight into the car, they're out of there, right back to the jet, next city. And I stay there and I tear down production with the production office and, you know, pack cases and then roll into the truck. And, you know, you have 100 stagehands. You're like, take this case, take this case. I'm not actually physically pushing them, but I have to supervise, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And watch backpacks and stuff, depending on where you're at. I mean, bags in your property. I mean, I travel with 3 passports because I have to leapfrog them. I move so fast, you know, so you can't get work visas like on the spot. No one's going to come to your hotel and give you a visa. You have to send it to the consulate. So I send them to different consulates so I get them back in time to go to that country, you know, so I have to have multiple passports.
No kidding.
Yeah. So if I have a backpack that's got my laptop and my 3 passports in it, like that's my whole life. I can't can't leave the country without that.
Yeah.
I can't do work. I can't do anything. All my money's in there. We carry lots of cash. So I could have a room full of 100 backpacks from roadies, and that's like everyone's livelihood. You know, everything they know is in those bags. You know.
Really.
So yeah, I'm gonna sit on that room. I don't trust the guy in Brazil, in Curitiba, Brazil, to watch my bag. No, he's the guy's getting paid pennies. You know.
Yeah.
So that's why you have your own security on the venue side. So do the important stuff. Other side of it is personal security. That's what people think of as a bodyguard.
Yep.
Right. So your close protection dude, hotels and everything else. When Good Charlotte went out, I did both. So which is tricky. When you're a young band, you do what's called gig hugging. So you take a bus right to the gig, and then you take a shower in the gig. Locker rooms, theaters, whatever it is, they have showers in there. So your shower shoes up, where you get, you know, foot rot from all the athletes. That's called athlete's foot for a reason.
Yep.
And then local towels that feel like croutons, you know, and it's just not really glamorous. You're not in the forces.
These are for the first couple year bands?
You got to earn your stripes, yeah.
Yeah.
So when they gig hug, they just never leave the gig. You're there night and day, and then you go to the next city on a bus. So Good Charlotte, I'm on the bus with them. I'm in with them. I take all their luggage in. You know, it's really hard work when you have 5 guys in a band and you're like moving everything around.
Yeah.
Every time they want to go to the mall, you're with them. You have to leave the gig to go to the mall, come right back. So that was it was a really big learning curve for me. So yeah, you could do venue or personal. It's one or the other.
Would you prefer?
Now I prefer venue.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
You don't deal with personality as much. I'm really good at talking to building people, law enforcement, fire, EMT, creating evacuation plans, talking to HVAC dudes about, you know, I did KISS for 10 years. We have 220 hits of pyro. We're going to set off your fire alarm. Oh, no, we do shows all the time. Not like this. You're dealing with Rammstein people. The Rammstein pyro guys do KISS.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going to hit 200-foot flames today. And we have to talk about adjoining buildings, elevator shafts. You know what I mean? It's a convention center. What's attached to this? What else is going on around here? You know, is there another event? Because we're going to set off their fire alarm too.
No shit. Yeah. You're going that in the depth of the thing.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah.
I would have guessed that.
You go to, I deal with the fire chief and, you know, and who mans that panel? There's a fire panel somewhere. What's the latency period on the fire alarm? You know, does it go off instantly? Is there a 60-second delay so that someone can go to the panel, identify that it's this one right here and there's a pyro show going on, get their eyes on the alarm? You know, like who's looking at it? Is there someone right there staring at it? It's going to go off 200 times.
And you're learning this just from trial and error from and every venue's different.
Yeah, I mean, I learned from a fire alarm going off. You know, I
in the middle of a concert, you're like, oh shit.
I'm with the band KISS, I don't know, it's a long time ago. And we had these giant crane arms that would go over the audience, you know, they'd fly over the people. And the fire alarm went off when they were on these cranes. And the big thing for Kiss was turn the lights down, turn the fire up.
Mm-hmm.
Put confetti in the air, streamers, you name it.
Yeah.
Concussion blast, boom, big booms. Because they're 73 years old with makeup on. They're not moving around a whole lot.
Yeah.
So when it's just them, they hate it. The makeup and the hair and the costumes, it's what Kiss is a show. They're not really there for the music.
Yep.
The songs are legendary, but they played the same songs for 40 years.
Yeah, it's a show. You're going.
Show.
It's like a Vegas show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On wheels, So they're up there on these things, like the pinnacle of the show, the climax of the show, and the fire alarm goes off. All the house lights go up. It's like putting these in their face. So you can see how ugly they are, without their makeup streaming down their face. They got, glitter stuck to their face and stuff, and they're kind of looking around, looking at me like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, God damn it, where's the fire chief at? They're like, oh, we don't know what's going on. We never had this happen.
Oh,
and it's like,
God.
whoop, whoop, exit the building now. There is a fire in the building, which is another problem. Because if you
getting 50,000 people out of a building
calmly.
Yeah, not going to happen.
It's like they could trample each other.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, once you think something's going on, the world we live in now, it's like, wow.
Mass panic is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, we deal with bomb threats and stuff. I was with Drake last year, and there was 40 trucks and 20 buses in arenas. So just to get those vehicles close enough to the building to dump and their gear, there's something like 5 to 7, 8 loading docks in any building.
Yeah, slots to even.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, that's a whole other story, is truck wrangling.
Which is crazy. So I don't ask me how, but I ended up at the back of a Nicki Minaj concert last year, like a couple months ago, for another company I work with, and they're like, we're going in, and I was like, you guys can go. Like, I just have no desire to go see Nicki Minaj, right? I'm 40 years old. What the fuck do I need to go see her for? But I was sitting out there, and because we have armored trucks and stuff, and I'm sitting there, and I was looking, and I took a video. I mean, it was probably close to 40. Red cab, white trailer.
Upstaging,
just plain unmarked. And then there was probably 50 to 70 dudes sitting there with their hard hat, all their waiting. And I got talking to those guys, and they're like, the second she steps off that stage, we're tearing it down. Tearing, and she's gone. But I mean, but this was in Vegas, so I mean, they had the big lot out back. So I mean, all the trucks were able to park there. But I was sitting there watching, like, how does she do? I don't want to say a normal size venue, but I mean, how would you even get
shuffling? Yeah, it's all logistics. Like, this goes there, this lives there. It means that it goes there.
Yeah.
This lives there, this goes there. You have deadhead trucks that don't have anything in them. Or you could backfill trucks in small places. So you take everything off and you put it back on because there's nowhere to store shit in the building. And then you got to dump it again and put the regular shit on. It's like truck packs for everything. There's like maps.
God,
oh, God.
Man.
It's full on. And you got to teach 120 local guys called stagehands who usually aren't the brightest people.
No.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean,
but
most of them look like, I'm not judging. They have a look to them. They all look like they're either a previous on meth or straight out of prison or both.
Yeah, it's funny. The meth mouth is big in Arizona and New Mexico.
I'm not trying to judge, but I mean, you've seen it.
Seen it up close and personal for 20 years.
Yeah, that's why you're watching your backpack the whole night.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't even let those people in my side of the venue.
Yeah,
you don't. There's no bathrooms back here. There's no catering for you. Catering is a big thing. Stagehands, you have to feed them catering. It's the show calls, usually 12 to 15 guys that stay there all day. Okay. And the other 80 fuck off after they load in, come back for load out.
Yep.
And it's only the real experienced ones that eat in catering. But, stagehands go into your catering, and we call it stagehand plates, where they have, you get a plate, and they pile this mountain of food. Like, they're never going to eat again. And it's like, come on, man. And, like, it's there all day.
Yeah.
But they only get tickets for, like, lunch and dinner. So they walk out, and it's like this food falling off on the ground.
Like the Mongolian grill when you'd pack it.
And they're like, and the roadies don't go in there with stagehands. They're like, oh, God, the stagehands are in. They'll just wait. And then the chef's like, yeah, I'm putting the crap out right now until they leave, and then I'll put out the good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, the shrimp goes underneath,
Yeah.
I'm not getting this. Yeah. Pretty funny.
I never even thought, dude, there's so much that goes into that.
Yeah. I have to put security on catering from the time we roll up. For breakfast, because the eggs will be gone by the time the guitar tech wakes up. All the stations will eat them, it's gone.
You hear the artist doesn't even...
The security at the door, give me your ticket. You can't come in. Oh, come on, no.
No shit.
Put a pass sheet on the wall and say, none of these come in.
Oh, my God. It goes that in the
egg
depth.
security as well, yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how the hell you're like, do you have a team or you're in charge?
It depends, you know. I did Linkin Park in 2004 to 6, and we had
What
7
was
guys.
that like?
Oh, weird. It was weird. The tour that I did was called Project Revolution.
Yeah.
It was the first one.
Yeah.
So they had never done a tour that big, and no one had really to that point. It was like Ozfest and stuff like that was popping around, but
God, dude, you got to do.
yeah, it was Linkin Park, Korn, Snoop Dogg, The Used, and Less Than Jake on the main stage.
That was Warped Tour.
Yeah, basically.
I saw all those at Warped.
Yeah.
You got to hit. That was such a badass era.
Yeah, it was cool.
I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel when it comes to music, that was. We were just up here the other night for like 2 hours, and I was showing her all of that.
All the old stuff.
All
yeah.
of that.
Shows, yeah, they're wild.
The Use, dude, Scary Kids Scaring Kids. I mean, all of that, man. That was it. That was the good time.
Lincoln was a headliner, and that's who I worked for. And we had 7 guys, and I was part of the 3-man personal team. 4 guys were venue because it was a massive. There was outdoor stages and stages in the parking lot and stuff. And I was with the band Linkin Park, so I was with Chester and Mike usually the whole time. And I even did Minutes to Midnight, the album, with those guys in the studio.
Really,
Rick Rubin and stuff. That was weird. That was cool. Anyway, the tour, you know, had Snoop Dogg on the roster. So, and Korn, I knew the Korn guys from my previous like throw me in the deep end stuff. That's a good band to work with. Back then they were still partying a little bit, but Jonathan never did. So I'm with Lincoln, and the drummer Rob Borden was sober. Yeah, he'd been sober for a few years, so there was no smoke smell, there was no alcohol allowed backstage, and then we put Snoop Dogg back there, and it was like, you know, he started smoking weed instantly, and 100%. He was bringing girls around and stuff, and the band was not into chicks backstage or any of that stuff. Neither was Korn. They didn't like Jonathan didn't like anything around. Neither did the Lincoln guys. So we kept it very sterile. And then all of a sudden, you know, Rob's like, "Hey, what's that smell?" And I'm like, "Oh, it smells like marijuana to me. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think so." "Yeah, who's smoking?" I'm like, "I think it's Snoop Dogg." I'm like, "Tell him to stop." So I go over to the dressing room, and there's got like 10 giant dudes outside with football jerseys on. They have no numbers, you know, and like rat tails, like Afro rat tails, straight Crips, you know. And I'm like, "Hey guys, you need to talk to Snoop." I'm like, "No one talks to the dog, you know." I'm like, "Oh well, I'm from Linkin Park, and I need to talk to him." I'm like, "Oh." And I said I'm from Linkin Park. They thought I meant I was in the band. So I walk in his dressing room. It was just him and a couple of chicks. He's like rolling a blunt, you know, and he's just like getting his hair done. Yeah. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" Like, "I'm Ryan. And just got to let you know that, you can't smoke weed in the backstage."
How'd that go over?
He was like, "That's cool." He's like, "Well, fuck you for bringing me out here." You know, like, I'm Snoop Dogg. You brought Snoop Dogg on tour, and you want me to not smoking weed? That's what I do. And I'm like, "Look, I'm just a messenger." And he got the message that I was from the band. He didn't even know I was in the band, really. Yeah. And I'm like, he goes, oh, okay. Well, tell them to bring me $10,000 cash in a briefcase if they ever want to talk shit to me ever again. Go away.
No shit.
Yeah, and I walk out, and I go back in the dressing room with Linkin Park, and I'm like, "How'd that go?" I'm like, "It went great. Yeah, they just cut my head off, basically. Thanks for sending me over there." And he said, "Give me $10,000 cash next time." And I'm like, "All right." Needless to say, the next day, he was in a trailer outside.
Really?
Yeah. It was Linkin Park's tour. You could leave the tour and forfeit your $1 million a day for the next couple of months, or you can just stop smoking weed in the backstage.
This is so I got voluntold in the Marine Corps, and we had to work this concert. It was Linkin Park was there, but it was Snoop Dogg, Korn, and a few others. And we had to do fire watch, which in the military, fire watch is the worst thing ever. So we get to this venue. This is in Cali. It was out in
Chula Vista.
No, it was north. It was north of. It was in the Inland Empire somewhere. Where there is an outdoor venue. It's a big bowl.
Glen Helen.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the wildest times I ever had in my life. The largest human being I've ever come in face with. I hit him with a mag light flashlight because I was so scared. I hit this dude with everything I had right in his face. And when I hit him, I was on my toes and I was fully extended in that flashlight. Blah! Didn't even flinch. And I turned and I ran for my life and all my buddies. But we were at that concert and we were working the grass.
The lawn,
The lawn. Yeah. And they're like, "All right, Marines, you guys are on fire watch tonight. And we're like, fire watch? Like, what the fuck is fire watch? Because in our world, fire watch, you're just standing there staring and you're hating life.
They're putting fires out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bonfires.
So Korn comes out and they're opening like, like they just, and it's all, yes. Okay. So you know exactly. Soon as the boom and the bag, fire start erupting everywhere. And they're like, all right, Marines, you're up. You're up. And we're like, we're up for what? They're like, you got to go put out the fires. So we go rushing in. And this was only like literally like a minute into the first opening song. So it wasn't full chaos. So we go running down there and we put out this fire and we're like, yeah. We're all like stoked. And by the time we work back out of the crowd and get to the top again, there's another one. Well, by this point, Korn's like full on
raging.
Korn. And now there's a mosh pit around this giant fire and they're collecting the trash from like the fucking
cups
funnel
and
cakes and shit and all the
trash.
So they're bringing all the trash down and they're just throwing it. So now there's this giant fire, a mosh pit around this fire. And they're like, go put it out, Marines. And so we're literally fist fighting our way through this
drunk people
cyclone mosh pit, fighting ourselves through it to put out this fire. Then once you put the fire out, now you're public enemy number one.
Ooh,
And now these just cholo ass, tatted bandana gangsters are now trying to fight us. So now we're fighting these people and we don't even know what the fuck is going on. So we do this throughout the night, and every time we'd go in, you're getting beat up, like legit.
You're gonna catch a few,
You're getting punched. So this female Marine, and they gave us these little packs, these little metal containers, and you got the little spray nozzle, and it's got like a brass handle and shit on it. So if you were carrying that, it was like the flamethrower storm in the beaches. Like you were the number one target. So this female Marine, everybody's getting beat up. Like I carried it in like 6 different times. Like there just comes to a point where like, bro, I'm done. Like I'm done carrying this. So this one Marine drops it, and this female's like, I'll do it. We're like, okay, like here you go.
Oh, no.
This is equality, right? So we go marching in, and we're all stacked, and we're pushing our way through this mosh pit, and we open up a little hole, and she goes running there, and she's just like spraying this fire out, and this giant dude comes running up, just the crowd.
Bulldozer,
He comes up and he's like, what the fuck? And she takes that handle, and I swear to God, she screams Marine Corps and goes, Marine Corps, boom, and jabs this brass handle and drills this dude. This whole thing erupts. We're fist fighting. She gets drugged into the crowd. We're trying to pull her out of the crowd.
Yeah, she's gone.
That was one of the craziest nights of my life, was working a Korn. And then Snoop Dogg comes out. First thing he does is lights a giant blunt, and he's got the whole crowd, fuck the police, fuck security, and we're all like, no.
That was a big one, that show. I remember it clearly. A sheriff's department came out, and they were trying to serve him a warrant, and they couldn't. And then they were following him around with cameras, like handheld camcorders, just to catch him doing something. Like, do anything. Spark it up in front of us. See what happens. We'll arrest you right now. And they had the right to be backstage, but not in the dressing room. And he's just walking around like, fuck you guys. Fuck you. Fuck
was that why he came out so mad?
Yeah, because they were following around backstage with
that
cameras.
Makes sense. Was Linkin Park there? I don't remember Linkin Park.
I think it was a headliner. It was their tour.
Maybe. Okay.
That was one of many times I had to deal with the police and Snoop Dogg. I mean, oh, God.
So the cops there, they were like, we're not going in. And they have a platoon full of dumbass Marines.
They can't,
So they would just be like, hey guys, and they would be on the edge of the crowd. And they'd be like, go get us more. And we would go to put out a fire. And they're like, if people try to fight you, do what you have to do and bring them back out. Yeah. So then we had built like a team of like the inserters that would go in.
Yeah, extract.
And then we'd have like the guys that would just wrap dudes up, beat the hell out of them. And then we're dragging people out of this crowd. And we just drop them, and the cops flexing. They're just cuffing and throwing them, and they're just like, go get us more. And we would just take off, and we'd go in there, start a fight, and we'd drag people out. And that's when I ran into that this was, when I say the largest human being I've ever seen in my life. This guy, he reminded me off of like the Achilles movie, when he's like, like that. And I'll never forget, that dude squared up, and all my buddies were behind me, and I had this mag light in my hand, and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, and he didn't even flinch.
Yeah. You can't take a firearm in a crowd.
No.
That's like a big deal.
Yep.
I make a point of saying it every day, even though everyone knows. And coppers don't even want to go into a crowd. You put that firearm into that environment, and if you dump it somehow, or someone grabs it off you, I mean, even level 3, whatever you got, whatever retention's on your holster, it can come out. You know what I mean? So there's a well-known story that I was told when I was young about a undercover copper coming in, and a lot of jurisdictions you could be a cop from other areas or townships or counties, and they slap a wristband on you on your presentation hand. That way I know who coppers are and who's not.
Oh, okay.
And they put them in seats, which doesn't make any sense. They're in these seats. Well, what if they get a soda or something? You know what I mean? Like, they can't drink, and they're identified. So if they do present, there's this giant 2-inch reflective neon bracelet on their arm.
Oh, okay.
So another copper will be like, oh, shit, you see that gun, and you're going to see that wristband.
Got it.
Or they have sashes that go here, and they're like a ribbon. There's like this weird ribbon you can wear on your shoulder. Like, you clip it on here, and you can just pull it, and it says police on it.
Oh, really?
You attach it to your belt, yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, some places have that. But, you know, generally speaking, like LA, New York, they don't allow non-uniform cops to carry because they don't want blue-on-blue issues, right? But yeah, cops should not have firearms in a general admission environment.
No.
Especially carry concealed. I mean, that thing could pop out when you're in a mosh pit. You can't keep your phone or your wallet other than gun, you know?
No.
So there was a well-known story where a kid saw a cop dumped his gun on the floor. It was like a 2,000-seat venue, and he went with his daughter or something. He dumped his gun on the floor and got moved around in the crowd. And the kid's like, I found a gun, you know? And this kid, he's like 15, is holding the gun up like this, and the whole place went crazy. And it was like pandemonium. Bad look for the law enforcement agency, you know? So
that doesn't go over very well.
Yeah, so that was, the kibosh got put on that one.
That's crazy. You were working the coolest concerts. That era was wild.
Yeah, I was pretty young. I was a young dude still, you know.
Wild.
A big tour. So
yeah, that's okay. So, shit, I don't even know where we were.
Yeah, it was a good Charlotte and then Hillary Duff days.
Okay, so Hillary, so you jumped into Hillary Duff's personal security guard, or were you doing her venue?
As her bodyguard, yeah. Her personal guy.
What is that like, being a personal bodyguard for a celebrity of that level?
She was the biggest name in Disney at the time.
Okay.
It was the first time I worked for a female. I did Christina for a couple of days, and I basically drowned. I didn't know what was going on. Christina was at the top of her popularity, and they put me there just to cover her at a couple of nightclubs in LA. And I had never dealt with paparazzi and hair and makeup. And she came up in a Rolls Royce at some shitty club in Hollywood, and all the paparazzi jumped out of the trees and stuff. And you know, I had a table reserved for her. I go to get her from the front door. I get to the table. People are standing on it. You know, it's like I did nothing. Like I didn't reserve anything. And I just drown, you know. Can I go to the bathroom? Yeah, I take her to the bathroom. She's like, this is not the bathroom that I use. The bathroom that I use is the owner's bathroom somewhere else. Like, you didn't know that? I'm like, no, I just took her to the regular bathroom. Filled with girls doing blow and stuff, you know. Like, she knows I don't go in there with all these girls. They'll take pictures of me. I'm like, oh, God, I don't know any of this stuff. No one told me this, you know.
Yeah.
And so I learned a crash course with Christina. And then when I was with Hillary, it was just I knew that females needed me to be next to them all the time. Like, I don't care where she's going, I'm going with. In the bathroom she goes in, there's no one in there when she goes in there. You know, I would stand in public bathrooms and say, it's being cleaned. And I don't work at the restaurant. I don't work at the, you know, I'd wait for everyone to be out. Hey, guys, got to clean the bathroom. Sorry. Like at a steakhouse somewhere, you know.
Oh, really?
Or a sushi place. Oh, yeah. I'd act like I was the manager of the restaurant.
Whatever you got to do.
Okay, yeah. If you go up in a restaurant, hey, guys, we got to get out. Like 90% of people just listen to you. Yeah. So I just learned how to blag or bullshit, you know. So I had to stay close to Hillary, and I did a really good job, you know. But I had to figure out who the players were. It's like we call it the King's Court, right? So you've got best friend, assistant. You know what I mean? We've got hair, makeup, the publicist. You know, a different assistant for this or whatever the event is. A person from the club wants to be there. So now you have 6 or 7 people traveling in your group. You're looking after one person, but that person's going to go, "Hey, where's so and so?" The car doesn't move until everyone's in the car. So you start to learn about this King's Court or Queen's Court, like people that have to be around. So you're always looking after multiple people, even though she's the principal.
So you're herding cats.
Yeah, and it sucks because everyone's getting drunk and acting like idiots, and you're like, where'd they go? And
so you're getting paid by your client.
Yeah.
But then you're babysitting all of your client's guests.
Yeah.
But it's your responsibility to take care of all of them just as much as her.
Yeah. So I started calling bullshit after I got to know her well. She was 16 when I met her. So
really,
yeah, and then you know she was turning 17, and Hillary didn't know how the solar system worked. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't know the sun was turning and that the earth was turning around it, and then the earth was also spinning, because she'd been on TV for a while now. Like, the school stuff she learned from Hollywood. So traditional school wasn't really a thing for her. I mean, she's smart in a lot of ways. Like, socially, she understood people, but like all the math and stuff was like beyond her. She was like, what do you call that? Arrested development. You know, when you stop learning at a certain age with schoolwork.
Yeah.
But she was in a different world. So I would talk to her about general stuff that we know, you know, third planet from the sun, you know, like things like that, the Milky Way galaxy. And she thought I was like a genius or something with my, you know, cheated through college education, you know. So I became her security guy. I learned the ropes. And then I noticed that her assistants weren't doing shit. They were just kind of like hanging around. I got to her house. I'm like, where's the office? Right here. Where are your files and stuff? Over here. The files were just like trash cans. Like, there was like paperwork, contracts and shit just kind of dumped in there. And there were 3 or 4 assistants around. And I was like, why do you have 4 assistants? Like, I worked for Pearl Jam in Linkin Park. They had none. You know, like, what? Well, there's a lot going on. I got this hair and makeup deals, and I got Johnson & Johnson. I got high fashion stuff going on, Fashion Week Paris. You know, it's a lot. I went, all right, well, nothing's organized, so no one's doing anything. I went there and organized the whole office. And then I realized there were a couple people that weren't doing anything, you know?
No shit.
They would get in her face for 5-10 minutes a day. That was their 5 minutes of fame in the day. I got everything. Say, here's your thing. Here's that. I got this. I did this.
So they would just go in, prove their worth, and
they'd
then
work for an hour a day, and then just fuck off the rest of the time and get lots of money.
What I mean, what's an assistant for Hillary Duff making at that time?
Oh gosh, they were probably making $2,000 a week.
Really?
So she was probably making $6,000. Or she's probably paying $6,000 for 3 people a week, and they weren't doing anything. So I was like, you could dismiss these people, and I'll do everything and more, and everything will be organized. She's like, then fire them. I was like, you're fired. You're fired. You're fired. Next thing you know, Ryan's the assistant. Ryan Duff, you know, security/assistant. And I was with her all the time anyway, and I knew her schedule anyway because I was booking all the cars and hotels. So I knew they didn't know anything. They weren't booking any of that stuff. I was. Where are we going, Ryan? Where are we staying tonight? I'm like, did you read the email I sent you this morning? No. All right, okay, well, you're worthless then. You're not helping me at all.
Oh, the assistants are asking you that?
You're taking up car space, and I have to go wrangle cats, and you're not doing anything, so you can go. Right? She didn't even know what you do.
So you just trimmed the fat for Hillary Duff's team.
And she had 150 people that were on her payroll, and then it was just me at the end when she stopped touring, yeah. So, and then it was Ryan Duff, you know. At one point, you can Google, does Hillary Duff have a brother? Yes, Ryan Duff. You know, I was always with her.
No shit.
There's 1 million paparazzi pictures of me and Hillary out.
You know what's crazy? I got a Hillary Duff story, which is random. I got to ask my buddies. It had to have been 2005. I think I've told you about this, kiddo. We were partying in Hollywood. We ended up don't even ask me how, but I can vouch for all of this. We end up in this club in Hollywood with Johnny Depp, partying. We leave. We go to this pizza joint, and Hillary Duff was in there. And I don't remember seeing a giant human being. He might have been with her or not. This was 2005.
Yeah.
But she was in a pizza parlor that we ended up at with this whole entire crew with Johnny Depp. Like, it was the wild. Don't even ask me how it happened. I'll tell you how it happened. My buddy was completely wasted, and there was these giant bouncers out of this bar, and he just walked right in. And the guy went to stop him. He's like, "I'm a Marine," and that's all he said. And these guys let us just stroll right in, and it was this elite night after party, I guess. I don't know. We ended up in there, but yeah. And that was in Hollywood. I say it was probably 2005, but we ended up at a pizza joint, and Hillary Duff was in there. It was a big deal. Then this huge crowd rolled in once everybody found out she was there. Then she got shuttled out of there along with everybody else, and then they kind of figured out that we weren't with the night party at that point. So it was interesting.
There's people you meet in Hollywood that actually, you know, Hillary was able to go to nightclubs at a young age. Lindsay Lohan, Christina, they were in nightclubs long before they, you know, even the male actors and stuff, you know, DiCaprio, notorious for being in clubs and stuff. But they get in with certain people, you know, they don't go in the front door, they go in the back door, and there's someone, you know, there's like these people that run their promoters or whatever, and they're like, yeah, you just call me, I'll get you in. And the owners won't say no, you know, and you just get into a place where, you know, I remember Hillary used to hide behind DJ booths, you know, and I was like, just so no one could get a picture of her in the club. I'm
sorry, I made a huge mistake. It was Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, Avril, she was around the same time, It
was Avril Lavigne, not Hillary Duff.
Yeah, Avril was, they had like beef. Hillary and Avril had beef back there.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But yeah, my mistake on that one. I want to say it was Avril. It was either, I'll have to confirm and let you know, but it was one or the other, but we ended up in that pizza joint. It was a fucking wild night.
Yeah.
So what's it... going from male performing. You're touring with some of the largest names in the industry, to switching gears to doing a female Disney fanatic celebrity. Is it scarier doing that? I mean, I feel there's way creepier people that would try to get near Hillary than Gene Simmons or some.
No one cares about Gene. No, people care, but he doesn't have any stalkers.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you gonna do to me?
78-year-old man at that point.
You gonna change my diaper?
Yeah.
Hillary has stalkers from when I first showed up, and then she had some really serious ones after I'd been around for a while that I dedicated a lot of my life to catch.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's on the internet.
What categorizes them? Like, when do you list somebody as a stalker?
There's a weird threat matrix that you go through about like the ability to carry it out. Are they specific with the threat, and do they have the means to carry out that threat?
Okay.
So if I'm, on a space station, I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill you. You're like, well, you're way out in outer space. It's not going to happen. But if you're a person in New York and you're 12 years old and you're like, I'd kill you if I saw you. Well, you're 12 and then you don't have a car.
Not a threat, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're in the city of LA and you have pictures on the internet of you and guns, and you say, I'm taking this gun to that concert, I'm going to smoke you. Then you're like, you have an active threat. Now you get police involved. And I was in Los Angeles City. North Hollywood is LAPD, North Hollywood unit division. So, but they passed me off to what's called TMU MEU, so Threat Management Unit, Mental Evaluation Unit. They're connected to each other, and they're connected to the DEA, right? So they can get warrants and special holds on people that other law enforcement can't do.
Really?
It's not 24, 48, 72-hour holds.
Okay.
I could just hold you because you're 5150 when they put you in cuffs.
Okay.
So, like, you're insane. I could just put you with this mental unit and stuff, and we're going to figure out what the threat level is,
That's how they're able to just snatch somebody like
snatch
that?
them up, yeah.
Okay.
So I started working with Threat Management Unit Detective Bureau, and they're just fast and good. I mean, it's all a PR thing for LAPD. Because you can't have celebrities in LA getting stalked everywhere every time somebody goes crazy, because that happens all the time. So they're the only law enforcement agency that created their own bureau to stalker hunt. Yeah.
To counter stalkers. It's that bad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I guess with such a hub of all the celebrities,
Everyone's there.
Draws every swinging dick.
Yeah.
That's some weirdo.
Star maps right here. All the houses you want to see. You know what I mean? And the kid that I had, the big one that's all over the internet was a Russian kid that came to New York with his mom and dad. His dad dies, leaves him his life insurance policy. He collects on that life insurance policy. He's like 19 at the time or something. And he's completely insane. It's a mental illness that has nothing to do with the artist, because you don't even know the artist, right? So you just make up some fantasy in your head and you focus on that one person. He started making threats in these weird chat rooms and like online, Hillary Duff online.biz. Whatever, like fan sites. He would go in like, oh, I'm Hillary Duff stalker and I'm going to do this. And people started like sending it to the webmaster at the time, this guy named Chris. And Chris would send them to me. Hey, you got a live one. You got this guy. He's popping up on this site. He's popping up on this site. I can see him moving around the country. His IP address says this. You know what I mean? We're tracking him. And then, if it's digital threats, you get the FBI involved because it's over interstate and everything else. So they get involved and they get right on it. They do their own matrix,
So when you report a stalker to your client about your client, the police are usually, like, the departments that you're working with are pretty on it? Or is this like, okay, it's got to escalate and they got to make is that how it goes?
Make a report, how law enforcement goes. You have to, okay, what do you have? Like, show me what you have. And then it's kind of like, we got an email.
Yeah.
You're like, great. Like, what else? Is there a viable threat here? Is there any weapons? Is there any specific threats? Like, I'm going to be here on this date. Show me something. Like, I can't just go to New York and arrest this kid. I'm an LA cop, like, they don't have jurisdiction all over the internet and all over the world. So that's why it helped to be in LA with this unit, and I knew when to press that trigger. You know what I mean? I knew when to tell them, okay, we have a real one. And they go, all right, Ryan. And they knew me from previous people, people of interest, POIs, right? So I just knew when it was time. And, the thing with the stalkers, you can just let them talk and they'll bury themselves.
Oh, because they're so just...
What do you mean by that? Tell me more. What would you do? And it's like they just give you whatever that goes through their head at the time. They're emotional or whatever, they're having a bad episode with whatever disease they have.
Are you dealing with these stalkers? Are you dealing with people that are more obsessed or hate, or is it a combo? What's causing these people to stalk your clients?
I have no idea. There's different reasons. Some sort of displaced energy mixed with mental illness, lack of friends and no social circle. And they become focused on one person. It could be a sexual fantasy. I've had older people that are just like perverts.
Really?
Because Hillary was like, she was a cup of tea for pedophiles and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
16-year-old dancing around on stage with a glitter dress on, with a squeaky little voice. And it's like pedophile's dream, underage girl. And I learned that when I first started that I had to get law enforcement actively involved at our shows. Because guess who goes to a Hillary Duff show?
Pedophiles.
Pedophiles, there's a bunch of little girls there. There's a bunch of little kids with their parents. And then, the parents go run over there. And then there's like 3 or 4 girls, and then pedophiles are predatory, right? So they find...
I've never even thought of
I didn't
that.
think about it before I started either. And then there was a mayor of a town called Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you ever heard of Wilkes-Barre. Like the mayor of the town got arrested at one of our shows.
For that?
Touching his own daughter in the front row. So like he, had his hands in areas he shouldn't, put his hands in her pants and stuff, and was grabbing her and writing shit on the chest and stuff.
The mayor of the town,
city,
of the city that you haven't got caught touching his own daughter at a concert.
Yeah. So
that's what, okay, as a parent, I mean, would you ever just turn your kid loose at a concert?
No.
Oh, it's wild to me.
I just know what goes on there,
Well, that's exactly.
Yeah, it's dark, and you lose people really quick, and if you don't know the venue, it's just confusing. There's a beer stand every 10 feet, and they all look the same, so.
Damn, I never even considered that a concert for like Hillary Duff or these little teeny boppers just draws in so many pedophiles.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. And
I'd say it's a pedophile's freaking dream in a way to get to be around that many of their age kids. And
and most artists do a thing called a meet and greet, right, where they meet people. And the meet and greet's usually reserved for family and friends of the artist, crew. If I have my kids show up the show, like every artist can meet my kids. That's Ryan's kids. Yeah, come on, bring them in for a picture. And they know my kids have the talk. Like this isn't like a free for all. You go and say thank you for having us, and you take a picture and you leave. They're not fans. So the artist usually goes, all right, I'll meet your kids. That'd be fun. And I know they're not like my biggest fan, but they're your kids and you mean something to me. But then you've got paid for meet and greets. So every artist does it that wants an extra couple bucks, which is everybody. Even Kiss did it to the very end. After 50 years of touring, they're like, yeah, give me $1,000, take a picture with me. And then guess what? They line up every day. So for Hillary, she's doing these paid for meet and greets to make, because if you have 100 people at $1,000 a piece, that's every day, 100 G's in your pocket outside of the deal for the show. Yeah, I'm taking 100 G's for 30 minutes. I'm going to sit in my dressing room anyway.
Bro,
right? So I would work the line before I put her in front of a camera and stuff with the lights and everything. And I would work the line and be like, hey, how many in your group? And I'm like, oh, it's me and my daughter. Great. How many in your group? Oh, it's just me. That's weird because you're 35. That's weird because you're 55. It's just you? You don't have a daughter here? You don't have any kids? I would try to fuck with them a little bit. No. And then I had this little metal detector that I would have in my hand. It's small. It was like a little Garrett wand. And I'd go, hey, you mind taking your jacket off? And I would have it in my hand. I'd be searching their jacket, and it would buzz my hand when there was metal. I'm like, what's in there? Or I'd be like, hey man, good to see you again. Give them a fake hug and kind of rub that thing around their waist, in their pockets. Can you empty your pockets for me?
So you'd have just grown ass man standing in line by himself waiting to meet.
And had specific instructions. I'd bring him closer to her and say, all right, everything out of your pockets. Your jacket goes there. There's no touching. All right, so don't touch her. And keep your hands out of your pants. You know what I mean? I want to see your hands. And they go, all right. And I go, go ahead, take a picture. And I would stand right here, and they'd be right there. I'd be within arm's length when they take the picture, almost in the picture. Yeah, and just staring at them. And they'd be all nervous that I'm shaking them up, And then Hillary would always know. I'd always go do one of these things, all right, watch out, this guy's weird.
No way.
Yeah.
Bro. That has got to be nerve-wracking. How do you have a full head of hair?
Genetics, I think.
Fucking hey, right? Yeah. God, I mean, because you're wired.
Yeah.
You are just on it.
Yeah.
24/7.
It's like an anxiety attack all day long. Yeah. So it's it's weird. I go to dinner with people and stuff. I'm just going where's the primary entrance? Where's the secondary? Where's the tertiary? But it's normal stuff, but it's I can't stop.
Yeah. No, there's
movie theater. She's like, I have the trench coat on. And it's just, a lot of guys think that way, but I just never turn it off.
Yeah.
Going
once you live in that world for so long, it becomes the norm. Same thing with us as vets or any cops or but it's to me, it's not a paranoia thing. It's like, okay, I got my kids with me.
Yeah.
That's like last night, her and I, we went out and had a date night. And I'm like, she goes to sit in my, I'm like, nope. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see who's coming.
I go there.
It's not a paranoia thing. I need to know. I just
Yeah.
want to know. And so I think but that's where you're more vigilant and aware. And that's where guys in our world are like, okay, shit goes down. We're out before people even know there's something unfolding.
Yeah. You know what's weird is when I have clients, usually you want to stay away from the kitchen and you stay away from the bathroom, right? And I find, a lot of times a nice restaurant has a separate room for a party, a private party.
Yeah.
But a lot of celebrities don't want to be in that room because I'll just eat in my hotel room and bring you guys with me. I want to be in a restaurant. But, I learned with females that the artists always face the wall. Because if you face the restaurant, you got to see all these people's faces that are like looking at you while you put food in your mouth and maybe take their cell phone out. You can't go into Nobu and tell everyone, put your cell phones away. Like, fuck you. Like, you're in public, So they face the wall, and then I'm facing the crowd. So I can see people walking up to her as they do it. Yeah. But I started to learn about the kitchen door. That was my door. Kitchen door is my door. My car is outside the kitchen. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and also there's knives in the kitchen, So in America, there's always a push bar inside of a kitchen. You're never locked in the kitchen. You can always get out. There's no key that locks the chef in. There's an open flame in there, and by code, you have to have a push bar.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we don't use the front door or the secondary door. We use the tertiary option as the kitchen, So we're never going to be stuck in here. So I always had tables that were next to that door that would come out with the servers.
You could just go right in.
Right in, yeah. So it was just like no one ever really thought about that until you're put in that position where you're like, well, shit, there's paparazzi out that door and that door too. Yeah. So I'd park cars up there and I'd bring the real car in the back. It just becomes this giant game.
Just a cat and mouse game.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'd walk out the front door and like open a car door and they'd all run over. The bodyguard's here. And I'd tell her to go out the kitchen with her assistant. And then I'd be like, she's gone.
You're sitting there like, any minute now, boys. And the paparazzi's I would just fuck with them all day. I feel like that's probably the fun part of the job is just messing with paparazzi.
Oh yeah, she had a Mercedes G-Wagon back in the day, and she used to just get in the back seat and hide. I mean, you have to have a client that's willing to do this, Okay. I always did. Like Linkin Park, we'd push them in road cases past the audience, Like
really?
He had a giant wardrobe case.
Really?
He'd get in there, like hide, and they'd go right past thousands of people, and they'd just open the case and walk.
That's hilarious.
Go to Starbucks or something. And, Hillary would duck in the back of her seat or the back of the truck or whatever, and she'd just hide on the way to the doctor's office or lunch with her friends. She didn't want people following her. And I would drive just a block. I'd be like, hey, guys. I'd roll the front windows down, be like, long shift today? And I'd drive past them one block, and then we'd switch, and I'd walk back to the house. And she'd just get in the driver's seat and go.
No shit.
And they'd be like, she left, didn't she? I'm like, yeah, she's gone, dude.
As you come walking
She was
back
in the
by.
car, wasn't she? I'm like, yeah, she's gone. Bye. Have a good day.
No kidding.
Yeah, in Toluca Lake, they sit right outside your house. There's no law saying they couldn't sit there. And then you had to worry about, I would get to know the guys. Like, I didn't want to be their friend, but I would know their license plate of the car, make, model, their face. I'd get pictures of them. I had my own telescopic lens, Yeah. So I would keep track of them. And then every time there's a new guy, I'd be like, you're a new guy, huh? Like, who are you working for? And if they couldn't tell me X17, TMZ, whatever, Gossip Cop, all the bullshit outlets that are out there, then I'm independent. I'm like, okay, well, and I'd go to the other paparazzi. Who's that guy? I don't know. I don't trust him. I don't like him. And I'd be like, yeah, no one likes you here. I wonder why. And then I found out that a lot of the big paparazzi companies or rag mag type places or people, they work in tandem. So there's two that keep them honest.
Okay.
Right. So they're being paid hourly, but then they also get a rate for the photo. And the photo that they're going for is head to toe shot of that celebrity with nothing in the way, bodyguard, with a bag, a Starbucks or whatever. So that OK magazine comes out. Hillary Duff visits Starbucks in Toluca Lake wearing Hervé Leger dress and some, Christian Louboutin heels. And it's like a fashion show. But they go, bodyguard, get out of the shot. Bodyguard, get out.
You're just putting your hand in front of her face.
Oh God! The first time I went on a red carpet with Hillary, I got yelled at I felt like a buffoon because I was like blocking the shot. You're on a red carpet, asshole. Get out of the shot, bodyguard. Fucking blowing him. And like the flashes. I mean, if you've ever been on a red carpet, like it's crazy. All the cameras that shutter speed, and there's like 100 of them. Man, and everyone's yelling and screaming. And then I learned from a guy who's an acting coach, actually, how to work a red carpet with a female. So I go, hey, guys, how we doing? I'm the loudest guy on the carpet.
Yeah.
Right here, we're going right here. I'm talking to Hillary. We're going right here, guys, right here. Thank you. all right, we're going right here, guys. Like, so she listens to me, not them, because everyone's going, Hillary, over the shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Oh, over the shoulder look. I would coach her, and she would listen to me because I'm timing it. She was like, just tell me what to do. Right here. Boom. Okay, you're done. Go on over. Give him the over the shoulder look. Give him that. Give him the smile.
Wild, man.
I learned from an acting coach, because he knew what they wanted. And if you ever see pictures of Hillary when she was young, big black guy with her, his name's Troy Rowland. He wasn't security. Everyone thought he was the bodyguard. And when I showed up, he goes, look, you're the security guy. I'm the acting coach. I act like the bodyguard, but if something happens, I'm going to fucking go away.
Oh, no
I'm not
kidding.
Yeah, I'm a pussy. I'm not doing this. You do stuff. So he used to like snarl at kids, like, get out of here. But if it was like a grown man, he'd be like, oh God, Ryan, you're up. I'll be over here. He looked mean too, and he was acting mean. Yeah. It's like any actor in the movies. Like, they're not actually bad guys. They're just pretending to be,
But I mean, hey, that works.
Yeah, it did. Like 90% of the time.
Yeah, I was going to say 90% of the time, it's all just the show of force.
Yeah.
No kidding, man. That's hilarious.
I was with her for 12 years. And
so
then,
you really got to know her. I mean,
yeah.
8 years is a long time.
I still talk to Hillary all the time. Yeah, she's the only person that I talk to in the celebrity world, like as a friend.
Okay. How would you, scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate her as just an overall person?
Oh, Hillary's like, she's dialed in. She's as normal as they come.
Really?
Yeah, she grew up with a tough mom, Susan Duff, who was on top of her Texas family.
Okay.
Her dad's a Texas oil guy. I mean, they're no nonsense. You do this, you do that. I remember I was working for a band, and I was like, yeah, Hillary leaves them like $100 tip at hotels. Like, she'll make her bed before she leaves the Four Seasons and put $100 on the pillow for the housekeeper. And I remember this guitar player for a famous band, will say was like, for real? He goes, I wipe my ass with the towels before I walk out. Like, if I'm having a hot day, I just wipe my ass with the towel and throw it on the floor. And she leaves $100 and makes her bed. What a girl.
That's the difference.
Yeah. So she's dialed, man. I mean, she's so respectful, and she, people act crazy around celebrities.
For sure.
And she's as sweet as they come, man. And the older she got, the better she got at it. And, she learned a lot from me and other people that were around. And she's like, I think I got this, I can go out in the world on my own. I don't need my bodyguard to be stuck to me anymore, So there's a well-known picture of her walking out of a gun store with a Glock she bought. I don't know if you've seen that picture.
No.
And she's got her finger like on the outside of the case. Yeah. She's carrying like this. And we're like, oh, she's the hottest girl ever. Look how she's carrying that case. Index finger out.
Did you teach her how to shoot?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she's had guns. She's had guns everywhere since I met her. Her dad would put guns in all the rooms and stuff. Yeah, Texas guy.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, there's rifles hanging around and stuff, all kinds of guns. Yeah, she wasn't ever scared of it.
Was it weird, like, departing when that time came? Because, 8 years is, with somebody, that's...
Long time.
That's a long time.
I felt it coming. She was married. She married a Canadian billionaire who was also a professional hockey player. And she had a baby, her first kid, Luca. And, I was there for all that. I was there for the wedding and the baby and everything else. And then, husband's kind of like, hey, man, like, I think it's time for the family to be here and not Ryan, like I'm the man of the house now. Yeah. Oh, I get it. You don't need a guy with guns hanging around the house when your kid grows up and it's not your dad. It'd be a little bit weird to grow up in. Like, I understand. So, I already made an exit plan and was kind of like, all right, well, if I leave, I need to make sure that Hillary's on her feet before I go, because I took care of so much that she needs to understand how to be full adult, without mom or anyone else or business manager. She needs to understand this shit. So I spent like the last year I was there teaching her own life.
Oh, kidding.
Yeah. So I made a Bible for her with all her codes and passwords and all this stuff.
Well, because everything in her world is taken care of.
Yeah. But she was looking for autonomy. So, going into a marriage where now you're going to listen to your husband, I'm like, you're going to lose everything. You need to know who you are first. So, I put everything easy to digest, format, and I just presented everything to her, and she was appreciative of that. And she actually paid me for a whole year when I left. But, the day I left the house was like, she came in with 2 Coronas, I'll never forget. She came in with 2 Coronas, and she was crying. And I was like, oh, don't do that. I'm like, that's fine. I know what you're going to say. Don't even say it. And she's like, ooh, you're going to leave. But it was, it's a natural part. It's a season for every relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and that's as a bodyguard, I feel that's probably the end goal is to, like, you're passing a client on to go and all right, spread your wings, especially
you
you
know
met
what
her
to
as
do.
a child and you've gone through all that, all those chapters of her life.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Drawing on a napkin the sun and the earth to like, the baby coming out. You know what I mean? It's a lot in between. Sneaking in the nightclubs with no paparazzi to like, buying houses and designing homes. And like, I worked with all the home designers, the designers and the contractors. Like I was the point person for all that.
Jeez.
So keeping track of the billing, because, you spend $5 million on a house, the money just pours out of your account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, whoa. How much did that table cost? You don't need this table for, $100,000. That's not worth it in that room. Designers looking at me like, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate your help.
I'm sure you were not their friend.
No. Contractor, hey, what's this guy doing? How come your billable hours are here and this guy's over there and that guy took off at noon? Like I was keeping track of everybody. Like shit, someone's watching. I got you on camera too,
Yeah.
So she kept me around for good reasons for a long time. But so when I left, she paid me for a whole year, which was awesome. And then her husband gave me a bunch of dough and bought a car and a house and everything else. And I got hired by the Red Hot Chili Peppers immediately. And I went straight to England. Went from London to Moscow with them. Like did a whole I Am With You tour.
What was the culture shock going from Hilary Duff to the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
It was terrible. I could
only imagine.
I had my deep sea Rolex on. That was a gift from Hillary for being around for, I think she gave it to me for like 5 years or something like that. And it was the biggest Rolex you could buy at the time, the most expensive one. I never even wore a watch really. Yeah. And I was driving a Honda Civic or something. So I put my deep sea on top of my Honda wheel on the way to work. Dub. So, I show up with a Rolex. My carry-on was Louis Vuitton. Yep. But I didn't buy it. It was given to me by her billionaire husband. He's like, here. I'm like, I used it one time. So you can just have it. So I was walking around. It worked out. I'm with Hillary. I'm wearing the Rolex and I'd pretend. Mm-hmm. It was worth it for the paparazzi pictures, I had an Amex black card when I was with her, and it was just a funny joke. It's like, my assistant has a black card. It was just a joke.
Yeah.
But it's a $10,000 a year joke. But yeah.
For sure.
So I was just pretending, faking it. It was a good time because we weren't those people. Yeah. So I show up with a Rolex and Louis Vuitton luggage, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
To the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh my God! They're like, "Are you kidding me?" Like everyone's wearing like black faded clothes with holes in them and stuff. There's roadies, mohawks, scraggly beards and shit. Unbelievable.
Just a rough, tough crew, and here you come with.
I come from management position, and now I'm just the the third security guy on the tour. And I'm not even really doing anything. I'm just learning to replace the guy. So it was just I just butted heads with everybody in the weirdest way possible.
Really?
Yeah, like I admit, like the douchiest way possible on my part. I was asking questions that were none of my business.
Okay.
Hey, manager guy, you're security now. Shut the fuck up. It's like going back to private after a long career. You know what I mean? You're like right back to one striper.
So was that pretty humbling, having to just kind of okay, I'm not that guy anymore.
Yeah. So it was like, we did all of Europe. We came back to LA. We did 2 LA shows at Staples Center at the time. And the production manager's like, this ain't working out for us, dude. We're going to make a change. And I was like, fuck. Like, I'd never really been let go. Yeah. It's kind of like, I finished the whole thing, but like, you're not coming back. And that was the one that got away. So that's Chili Peppers is a tour that I would definitely do again. And all the people that were there that let go of me, they're not there anymore. They just got fired like last year. Okay. So this is 2012, so they were there forever.
No shit.
Yeah, and now they have a new production company. So
why do you say it's the one that got away? What was so cool about that?
Well, I'm from LA, right? And Under the Bridge, and all, like it's just Blood Sugar, Sex Magic, like the whole album. I mean, I had that on repeat for years. Like that was like, everything. Sublime, Chili Peppers. That was one of the bands. And I love working for the band. The band was awesome. Okay. I mean, they were rad dudes. I mean, they didn't care about security really. It was more about like Anthony's kid being cool, like taken care of. They didn't walk around with bodyguards. They didn't walk around with shirts half the time. Like Flea.
He's an interesting character.
He had a bike everywhere. He'd come to the hotel and he'd ride his bike out of the hotel lobby right past the fans and just boom, gone. You can't catch me now. No shirt. Lithuania, Kiwanis, Lithuania. No teeth. He didn't really care. They were hilarious. He's a brilliant musician too. Oh yeah, unbelievable. Hear him play piano and stuff backstage, like gnarly. Really. And they're just such nice guys, and they're from my town and like the biggest band from LA, pretty much, And I just always wanted to work for the Chili Peppers, and I finally did. And I was like, yeah, we don't like you, but it wasn't the band; it was the production team. I didn't fit in, so.
Just too much, or what? You're just used from doing everything and.
Yeah.
They felt like you were coming in trying to take over everything, or what?
Well, I just was out of place. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's like you're doing a different job again. You know, I just forgot how to do security only. You know, I was a manager.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's hard to like go back to mopping floors, so to
Sure.
speak. You know, so just personality wise, it didn't fit, and I had to kind of like humble myself and get back to brass tacks. You know. And I went off to a band, a guy named Morrissey. I don't know if you heard of Stephen Patrick Morrissey, but he's one half of the Smiths. It's him and Johnny Marr. He's got a cult following that's massive.
Okay.
When I was with Morrissey, a.k.a. Moz, he sold out the Staples Center faster than Beyonce in her prime.
Really?
Without a manager, without a website, just an agent, a booking agent, and that's it. He didn't have anything. No social media, nothing. You know, he would announce dates through a fan on the fan site. It was the most bizarre. He had 12 people on his crew.
Really?
A corded mic, no instruments. He had a band behind him, but he'd just like whip the cord around, and he sings a crooner. He's a British crooner.
Just old school.
Massive act in certain markets. LA is one of them. So I traveled the world with him, and he's big in the UK, massive in England, Ireland, Scotland. So I did Moz. He was a vegetarian. Vegetarian tour. If you got caught eating meat, you're fired.
Really?
If you could smell In-N-Out Burger, for instance, in Hollywood. We played Hollywood High School for a DVD, and In-N-Out was right next to it. Just grilling burgers, and he's like, gets out of a car, and he's like, it smells like rotting flesh. Gets back in the car and leaves. Like Coachella, he made a big deal at Coachella. Like, it smells like shit in here, you know. It smells like burning bodies, you know. He just leave the stage. Notorious for not showing up, canceling shows everywhere. I got paid always, so I didn't really care. I thought it was hilarious.
You're probably hoping he would cancel because your night's easy.
I get paid, yeah. The only time I ever got pissed off was when he flew me to Peru for a South American tour, and we had like a month in South America. I landed in Peru. We're doing pre-production, building a stage, and rehearsals for the band. Then he was going to fly in. He decided not to come.
Tours canceled. The whole tour?
Tours canceled. And I was literally looking at Peruvian dudes like paint poles. Like the scaffolding was silver, and he wanted it black. So these guys are literally painting it with their hand. They had gloves on, and they're putting their hands in like black paint and painting it with their hands. And they're like climbing these poles and painting them. And it's like 100 dudes painting poles with their hands. And like I was like, we're getting out of here.
And they had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell Eddie. You're not supposed to talk. It's an insurance thing when you cancel a show. So you have to hush. Like when you cancel a show, I'm usually the first person to find out.
Okay.
And when you're young, you're like, hey, dude, we're canceling. Like, it's like a big deal. There's no show tonight. You know, the band's not coming.
And then the word just spreads.
Yeah, if you tell one person, you must tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I learned how to keep my mouth shut at a young age with crews because roadies are like, telephone, telegram, tele-roadie. Word spreads fast.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It's like a virus. It's nuts.
Okay.
Oh, super fast. Yeah, people, you're on 16 radios, you know what I mean? Like, hey, dude, meet me over here. Like, right away, people know text and everything else. So.
Yeah. What was Peru? I mean, so you just chilled in Peru, or did you fly right back?
We flew out. Yeah.
What's the worst country you've been to? Or city? Okay. Let's start with city. What's the worst city that you would never go back to?
Oh God. Well, there's cities that suck for different reasons.
Okay.
You know? I do shows, right? So I worry about people dying at shows.
Yeah.
Right. So I've been in Manila a couple of times.
Where?
In Manila, Philippines.
Okay.
And Bangkok, Thailand. And on their own, the countries are cool, and you can have a cool experience with a little bit of money goes a long way type thing. And they roll out the red carpet for you. But when you go to the show, like, they don't do shows. So like the first time I went to the Philippines, they hired like the biggest guys in the city, like bodybuilders, to hold like a fence in front of the stage and put their feet against the stage and just hold it. And there's like 5,000 kids, you know.
Oh, that was the barrier.
Yeah, and then I'm like, you're gonna hold it for 2 hours? Like, I don't know if you know about weightlifting, but no one does a static bench press for 2 hours. Okay, like your muscles fail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. Lou Ferrigno is not holding the shit either, you know. And they had weight belts on and shit, and and I'm like, that's not gonna work. So they went and filled 55-gallon barrels of water, and they put them all in the barricade with the power lifters, and I was just like, you guys didn't get the right barricade. I ordered this weeks ago, and you insured me through the promoter that you had this, and it's on a contract. And I'm like, whoa, we'll just drive stakes into the concrete, and they're like drilling the stakes into the concrete and breaking the floor up, and the concrete just falls apart.
Yeah, it just crumbles.
Yeah, and then, I got that 55-gallon drum, and I just push it over. I'm like, see that? One guy, there's 5,000 here, like, it's not working. It's on polished concrete with plastic. It's going to slide.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, I had to watch these guys hold this barricade for 2 hours. Like, like, get off the stage, right away. So there's shit like that. God, I did a show in not Panama. God, where was it? Must have been Caracas, Venezuela.
Okay.
And it was at a non-functioning, non-working airport hangar, like a decommissioned, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So like the dressing room was in the like at a gate, like an airport. They just put pipe and drape around like there's seats everywhere, and like the gate where they check your tickets before you get on the plane. The jetways are still there. Like
No
there's like airport shit everywhere, and we're in this airport, and the venue was the landing strip. Like it was, and then I'm like, where are the walls at? Like how the fuck do we keep people out of here? Oh, it'll come tomorrow. I'm like, well, the show's tomorrow. I was like, this is insane. And they bring these like metal walls, like panels, and they build this thing overnight, like this like square in the middle of
a runway.
Yeah, no, it was like 12 feet tall or something. Like
and that was the concert.
Black, yeah, and the airstrip was the concert. And they built the stage overnight. I'm like, this is terrible. I had my riggers go up there to check the integrity of it because I'm like, we built it in a day, so. And they're like, oh, the shackles are all fucked. We have to change everything. So like, we almost had to cancel it. But our guys.
Who was it? Can you say who it was?
Yeah,
okay.
It was Kiss. And
those dudes are just performing anywhere.
Oh yeah, all over. Yeah, and it's all money, But so they don't have a barricade in front of the stage. I have a photo I could share with you.
Yeah.
They don't have a barricade, and they're gonna put 10,000 people in there that don't really know how to act because they don't go to shows. Like what 10,000 people do? They don't know what they're doing. They go act crazy. They fucking act like morons.
Yeah.
The fire watch and everything. So they're like, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And I'm like, okay, you got an hour. And then they're like, hey, Ryan, come out and take a look. I'm thinking the barricade's there now. This is before doors open. So there's no one in there. And there's 150 guys arm like with their arms interlaced standing in front of the stage. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, you're going to stand there facing the crowd like this and you're going to let the people come face to face with you, 10,000, you're going to hold, like.
Yeah.
And like, it's not going to work. And they're like, what, is it more guys? I'm like, no, metal. The pictures I sent you, the diagrams, the specs, blow through gates and the kick plate and 4 feet tall. Oh yeah, we're making that. It's on the way.
We're making it.
In the meantime, we'll have the guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you can't build a barricade in front of 10,000 people once they're already here.
Yeah.
All right. And they're like, oh, well, panic. It's coming. And now we're like an hour before doors. The whole outside of this wall is packed full of 10,000 people. They're all there getting drunk. And they're like shaking the walls and stuff.
Before they're even let in.
Let us in, And we pass doors and it's like a riot situation out there. All of a sudden, this guy with every medal that you could possibly imagine, like making up, like the stolen valor looking guy.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Boom, boom. He's got a sword, And I've never seen this guy. I was dealing with law enforcement all day. And I'm like, who's this fucking guy? And that's the boss man, he's the guy in charge. And he comes into the office in front of the production manager and the manager and everything. Who's the head of security for KISS? I was like, that's me, sir. How can I help you? You're going to jail. I was like, nope. He's like, then open the doors right now. And I was like, open doors. And I brought everyone together like, look, this is not on me. If people die here, I said everything. This guy with the swords is going to throw me in jail, and I'm not going to a Venezuelan jail right now. So
wait, you're in Venezuela. They don't have any of the security precautions. Then let's call him the general.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever had all the metal. Yeah. Comes in and threatens to arrest you if you didn't open up the gates.
Causing a riot outside when the doors were specified at this time. I don't care about what the production needs are or what you think about this country because you're just a visitor here.
Venezuela's sketch as fuck
terrible.
As it is. Yeah.
Back then, the roads, they didn't pave the road. Like the potholes lived there.
Yeah.
So driving will make you nauseous anywhere. You drive for an hour, your head hits the ceiling of the van you're in. It's terrible. So I was like, I'm not staying here more than a day. So those 150 guys held back the crowd until the barricade can get in, and they actually metal fabbed it. They like welded it in place, like
while the concert's going on.
No, before, but like the crowd was in, and I held the band off stage, but I had to open the doors for the crowd to get in. So I held the show.
What a shit show.
Yeah. I'm like, let's get the fuck out of here, man. Tear that shit down. Let's go. It's a throw and go. Yeah, it's just leave.
Yeah. You're not even letting things cool off. You're just packing and getting out of there.
And guess what? No one does shows there anymore. The whole economy's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. I was in Greece when the banks shut down.
Really?
When I was in Manila, the president was getting ousted out of the country. It was a female president, Arroyo or something. Mm-hmm. I forget her name. And, they're like, don't talk to the press or the media because if you're American, you're a visitor. The people will decide. Bye. In the Philippines, when the band landed, the promoter told us that the news is going to be there at the airport. and people are going to hand you flowers and say, welcome to the Philippines. It's going to be a big dog and pony show.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. How many tickets did we sell? I'm like, none. 0 tickets are sold. And the band's like, what the fuck are we doing? Let's get back on the plane, you know? And they're like, no. That's how it works here. Because if you pay for tickets in advance, the promoter takes the tickets and leaves the country. You know? You sell 20, 30,000 tickets and the guy's gone. I got this offshore account. Boom. Boogie. Yeah. So, like, no one buys tickets until the band's in the country. So they have to film you coming off the plane. Like, look, this is the Manila airport. They're coming off the plane. Here's the flowers. And then, boom, sold out show. 5 minutes, sold out. Yeah. Yeah, sold out instantly.
That is insane. That's how it works.
Yeah. No one trusts anybody, you know?
We have no idea how comfortable we are here.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
See, I mean, I've been fortunate to travel with Soviet. I mean, people. That's when I hear people bitching about like just normal things here. I'm like, you have no idea what the rest of the world
buffoonery that goes on,
the absolute fuckery of just to try to get something done.
You go to Bogota. Shit, I went to Bogota with Hillary. We had a nonprofit charity. It was international. Obviously, it was called Blessings in a Backpack.
Okay.
For kids that were on free and reduced meal programs for, the United States, Canada, we did it. And then Bogota, we had a school opened for Hillary and outside of Bogota. And the kids, I'm used to kids that are underprivileged in America and destitute in America. But when you see the kids destitute in Bogota, different story. Half the country's unstable. The FARC, the FARC runs half of it, right? And that's where cocaine comes from.
Yep.
America's cup of tea. So these are kids that have been in combat and are missing limbs, and they're under the age of 15, So when I went to this home for these kids, like I dressed down. I had a suit on the whole time. So I was with the mayor and the president of the country, having lunch with like helicopters, like top cover, snipers everywhere. It was insane. I mean, like so many military guys in the downtown area that you can't even wrap your head around it.
Really?
Oh God. Armored guys, like guys wearing the close protection guys wear fishing vests, the fishing vests, the khaki ones, everyone's wearing those. I'm like, oh God. And then the whole family's having a nice lunch. And I'm sitting there going, like, looking at all this shit, like, we're in deep shit down here.
We're not in LA anymore.
I'm in trouble. Yeah. And we go to this thing, and I take my suit off, and I put, like, a cutoff, like a tank top on, so all my tattoos are showing. And Hillary's mom's going, oh, they'll probably be, like, impressed and scared by you and stuff. Look at me dead in my eye.
Didn't even care.
Little kid, like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, look at me up and down, like.
Yeah, you got some 12-year-old kid that's already murdered a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Been part of the war.
His arm is gone, yeah. So it was an interesting experience. There's levels of poverty, like down there they're sniffing glue, you know what I mean? Like just glue canisters. And people are getting fucked up on their faces. They're all burned, And it's like we realize that even, in America, you can go up to any house at a hose spigot and get fresh water, drinkable, clean water. There's no water, so a little bit different perspective,
Yeah, it opens your eyes, man. Yeah. And it's hard. It's like I see what's going, take politics out of it or whatever, but you've seen it, and that's where it just blows my mind when these people are just they're protesting some of this shit, and I'm like, God, you know what's going on in this world?
About? Yeah,
that's what we're bitching about. Yeah, I've always had such a hard time with that, and I explain it to them. I'm like, you have no idea what you've never felt hunger.
Yeah,
I'm hungry. No, you're not.
Yeah,
you think you're hungry.
So it's good for bands to go to places like that. That you get on your high horse, you're on the cover of Rolling Stone. These people never heard of Rolling Stone. No, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I would, put everything in perspective. The first time I went to Italy, I did something. Well, it wasn't the first time, but I went with Hilary Duff, and we went to some weird fashion thing. And there's a red carpet we went on, and like people were kind of like, "Oh, Hillary, how's it going?" And then there was other celebrities coming on the red carpet. I had no idea who the fuck they were.
Yeah,
they were Italian soap opera stars. Mm-hmm. And it's like fame is relative, like.
Yeah.
But it's weird for American celebrities because American celebrities are typically famous everywhere. You break America, you break the world.
Yep.
And in Europe, Germany's like the main market. You break Germany, you break all of Europe. So it's kind of bizarre when you start looking at fame and stuff, and there's different levels to that too.
Well, in some of these countries, it's so weird. I have a buddy, he's a big fitness guy, and I'm talking like world superstar in India.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He can't go anywhere there.
Yeah. Bollywood.
He comes here, and he's just going to the gym, no problem. Yeah. He goes over there, he's got full-blown security
armored cars. Yeah.
It's just insane when you get you take what's the Baywatch guy?
Hasselhoff?
I mean,
yeah. Big in Germany, drunk guy over here.
Oh yeah, nobody gives a shit about him here.
Yeah.
You go to Germany, he's a god.
Yeah.
I mean, they worship him over there.
He's like 6'8" too. It's unreal.
Oh really? I didn't know he was that tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird how different countries and cultures, what they just glue to, you know, and you're like,
weird.
You're like this, like, you know, like that guy's that famous over there. Like, holy shit. Okay, it makes sense now. You're like, I don't know how you're so big, but
I don't know either.
what's the worst fans you've had to deal with?
Oh God.
Is there ever a venue where like we got to get out of here?
Oh, I know. Singaporean. Singapore.
I've been to Singapore a few times.
So it's weird when you first go because you're like, you hear Singapore, you think third world country, you think, poor. No, it's a bank. You know, it's a giant bank. It's the Switzerland of Southeast Asia, right? And the main language there is English, which was shocking to me too. The first time I went to Singapore, I advanced it the same way I did. So I went to Japan. Japan's perfect. Yeah. You have no problem. Security vacation time over there.
Really?
Oh God. No one's fucking around in Japan. You don't even see police there. You never even. You don't need it. You know, they don't need police and armed guards like down like and even in Tokyo they have like sticks like bow staffs. Yeah. And you're like what? And like everyone just does what they're supposed to do. Like one of my buddies got a ticket for smoking on the wrong street, and they gave him a little foil bag and you put the cigarette in there and they give you a ticket and they give you your butt back and you're like. You're like, what? You know, there's no trash anywhere. There's no homeless. It's like in Japan, it's like the most peaceful, cool place you can go to. You know, everyone respects the rules. I did a show at the Tokyo Dome with Kiss recently. 20,000 people. The front of the stage was twine-wrapped PVC pipe. Don't touch this. It says don't touch in Japanese, and no one touches it. Stand back. Okay. You know, it's like you don't have to do anything.
But Singapore. So
then I'm thinking like, well, China, and then you go over to the Philippines. Philippines is a mess. You know, I had to get armored vehicles, armed guys. They got to show up with shotguns. You know, out of all, I was hoping for concealed guys, but a shotgun also, a scatter gun. You know, and these guys are on the back of motorcycles with shotguns, riding like this with a shotgun hanging off. I'm like, oh God, Thailand, same thing. You know, you're driving elephants on the side of the street. Yeah, and Pad Pong, you know, the shitty district. I'm like, oh God. So I'm going to Singapore. Like, I want armed guys at the airport. You know. Clear out the terminal, cars parked right there on the curb, and they were insulted. You know, the promoter was insulted. You should write an apology to me. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm not getting an apology on anything. Like, you say what I do or we're not coming. Yeah. And the manager's like, look, dude, chill out. Ever been to Singapore? Like, no. He's like, it ain't like the other ones, man. Like, you just got to go with the flow. All right. Now I line up. I get there at the airport, and everyone's in a line, all these fans, these kids, and they don't do anything. I walk Good Charlotte right past them. No one jumped at him. No one did anything. No one followed us to the hotel. Because when you're at the airport and you get to a car, you go to the hotel, everyone just follows you. Yeah. And now you have a fan base at the hotel.
You know exactly where
you're at. You can't leave. They'll follow you everywhere you go. News cameras and everything. So I get there, no one follows us, and I realize like these people are like really like kind of brain drained. Like the culture is weird. It's not really identifiable, you know. Like Thailand, you have the temples and stuff. Japan, Singapore's kind of a mix. Everyone kind of looks different. Yeah. You know? And we did the show, massive. It's like a flat piece of concrete with barricade stage, all proper. And the fans come in for a Good Charlotte show. Like, the band comes on, like, dun, 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 they're playing like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous right off the bat, and then the whole crowd just falls over. like everyone is like a huge dump. We had to stop the show, and I put security in there to pick people up and pull out injured people and take them to medics, and it was like total chaos.
From what?
They just didn't know what to do. It was like a bunch of kids that had never been in a crowd, and like it was like the worst thing ever. Like the entire crowd got injured. Like they just kept falling over. Like hundreds of people would just fall over, and the band was like, "Hey Ryan, get up!" And then like the band's just watching me, like in the barricade, pulling like dead bodies over. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Everyone's hurt in the whole crowd. Like we had medical triage. We're overflowing with bodies, and people are overheating. And, you know, like people are just laying all over the sides of the stage.
Really?
And, yeah. And the band's just kind of over there looking at these people that are just like stacks of bodies, like just overheating and wearing flip flops. Their foot is crushed. Oh my foot, you know, my neck. God. There was like, I don't know, 500 medical patients seen or something out of 10,000 people. Like usually have one or two or maybe like 12, 15. You know, at a heavy show. It's not even a heavy show.
It's like it's Good Charlotte.
There's a big floor, and they were only like right here in the middle, and they just fell over.
So when they start telling, then they're just, I mean, which is crazy because people will probably listen. Are like, how does that happen? But I mean,
yeah,
if there's a tight, packed crowd and
Yeah.
you shove from behind. It's a ripple
Yeah,
effect.
5 guys can knock over a crowd if you're not paying attention, if you don't have any muscles in your lower body.
100%. And then these people probably have no idea what a
No.
concert even is, so they're just going with it.
Falling over.
And once they fall, you have all the weight of it.
Dominoes.
So the people are legit getting like suffocating,
It
getting
was
crushed. in
crazy.
there.
It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable because everything was going good.
You're just sitting back like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I was like, I looked at the band like, I don't know. Like, I never seen anything in my life. Worst crowd, hands down, I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, just inexperienced and like just
That's weird.
yeah, no muscles. It's like, and they're kids, and I felt terrible, so I was trying to help. And then I remember my back was so messed up after that show from like lifting humans.
Oh, I bet.
My knees, like if you ever get on a barricade and pull people out, you have like grates in your knees.
Yeah.
I had to like wear knee pads after that under my jeans, you know, because like, my knees were so fucked after that show. You know, it's from pulling people out by their waistband.
For sure.
But yeah, worst crowd ever.
And then that was it, huh?
Then we left.
Last time going back there.
Yeah, and then the band was super scared because, you know, Singapore's got a weird reputation for punishment that's swift and exact. Yeah, if you get charged with a crime today, you get sentenced tomorrow, and sometimes on TV.
Oh, yeah.
So remember the kid that got caned when Clinton was president? Like they whip your ass.
Yeah.
They literally whoop your ass.
Very clean.
Yeah.
Very clean over there.
But no one fucks around, do they?
Nope.
And bubblegum was illegal back then too, so they were like, forget it. We're not even going outside. I don't want to get arrested for something I don't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple guys smoked weed and was going like, we're not going to do that either. We're just going to sit in the hotel and be a good boy for a day.
We got to kill 12 hours. Nobody go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, shit, this guy's like Wiz Khalifa that'll go out and he went to Dubai and he gets in, does a show and gets right back on the plane. Private plane in, private plane out. And right when I lift off, you know, I'm not doing it there.
Oh, God, no, not in the Middle East.
It's a big desert out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They don't play.
I know. You know,
Have you done a lot over in the Middle East?
I do Dubai, Abu Dhabi.
Dubai's wild.
It's weird.
I've been to Dubai 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
I was there when the Sultan or the Sheikh died.
Mm-hmm.
And they put us, we all had, like, we were on lockdown. It was really weird. But that was in 2007 maybe. But Dubai's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird what happens there, like how they work things. It's like they're Las Vegas, you know, for like the Middle East people.
Yeah.
Strange, but it's all like a puppet show. You know, you go to an Irish pub and no one drinks that works there. You're just staring at the bartender has never drank in his life and he's pouring you a whiskey, you know, you're like,
It's something that you don't think about, you know, because you obviously with their culture, they don't, well, at least in front of, we always joked about it, where they're like Mormons, you know, like,
yeah,
you don't ever want a Mormon to drink your beer
Yeah.
on while you're fishing, just bring 2 of them because they'll just stare at each other all day. But those guys, you get them by themselves or out in the desert and they freaking go all out. But yeah, it's weird. You go to a bar or you go to a restaurant there and they're serving you and they've never partake in anything that they're doing there.
Yeah, and then the dancing and stuff. I remember being at a resort in Dubai and like there's like some British couple or whatever and there's a DJ and everything.
Yeah.
And people kind of sit at their table and they kind of do this and then you could dance a little bit, but if you get body to body, the bouncers will come up and separate you. No grinding on each other in this country, you know. And you're like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore.
Meanwhile, they're flying in all these influencers and doing
Russians and everything else, Russian models and stuff, and whatever happens on the boats is something different apparently. So
apparently when you're out at the water, you can do whatever you want to an influencer thought model and video it and put it wherever you want.
yeah, you're in the ocean.
Interesting world. That Dubai is very, very interesting. I always see these women that are like, I'm in Dubai. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly how you got there. So
last time I went there was during COVID. You know,
really?
remember Dubai was doing all the UFC stuff?
Yeah.
And
on the island?
Yeah, I was on the Palm. This island like the Palm,
yeah.
right? So I was at the biggest resort there. God, the name escapes me right now. And I was with Kiss. And we went there because they were the only place you could do a show. So the band had an idea with this guy, this American businessman, to go over there and play on the beach outside the hotel. Build the biggest stage ever.
Yep.
Play to the hotel, which faces the ocean, right? So
their back would be to the ocean. Kiss's back would be to the ocean.
And we put barges in the water that had explosives and like pyro and fireworks and shit. And they played to the hotel. So the way it was sold to the government or whoever was that we're playing to people in their rooms on the balconies, right? And the balcony and the rooms cost like $1 million a night on New Year's Eve or whatever, right? And they always had the biggest pyro or fireworks display on Earth because everything's got to be bigger there, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the picture. And Kiss was like, "Hey, make it bigger this year and everyone watches the fireworks show anyway, so we're gonna play to the hotel watching the fireworks show, At the end, it starts at the end of the show.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah. So we emptied all the pools that were out there right before the beach, and they put pyrotechnics and flame boxes in the pools. They're shot up in front of the stage.
Wrong?
Yeah, with water in there and everything. And we broke the Guinness Book of World Records for pyro.
Really?
The most flame ever displayed, the most fires.
What was that like?
It was gnarly. It was weird because when I showed up, and you're talking about heavy pyro. I mean, there's a lot of product.
Yeah.
And they get pyrotechnics in the Middle East. It's weird. Pyrotechnics and radios. Every time I go to Dubai or Abu Dhabi, my radios are gone. The batteries are gone, everything. They don't like radios. Boombala, boombala in the Middle East, right? People use radios for different reasons in there. Drones, radios, pyro.
Really?
Oh, God. Even the band's hair product, everything gets stopped. So, shit. It's just a maniac and a logistical nightmare getting all that shit in there, right? And you're talking about heavy product. Like you think about bombs and shit. So we get everything into the country. We start loading the stage. I meet with the head of security for the hotel, who's like completely in the Condura. He's got the white. I go in his office. He's got swords on the wall, and he's got a big conference table. I'm sitting on one end. He's sitting on the other end. I'm like, I have a map in front of me. I'm like, can we look at the map? He goes, sure. I'm pointing at the map. Like, I'm thinking we could have this, barricades here, security, canine searches over here. And I look at him a couple of times. He's just staring at my face. He's not looking at the map, right? And he's like, He's just making every time I say something. I'm like, okay. And the next thing I'll say, canine. How many canines are we gonna have? I want to do it after we get this. He's like, tell me something. What do you know about bombs and explosives? And I'm thinking, like, not a damn thing. Nothing, really.
Probably not as much as you.
Yeah. He goes, then why are you talking about it? And I'm thinking, like,
okay, here we go.
Shit. And the guy that put me in the room was his assistant, like his right-hand man or whatever. And he's like, oh, he's a really nice guy. You're going to have a really good meeting. It's really lovely. Like, he was totally fucking with me. He knew he was going to cut my nuts off when I walked in there. Mm-hmm. And he goes, and you shouldn't talk about these things. I'll be in charge of this. You enjoy your stay and go have beers with your friends like you did last night. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time. And hey, let me know if I could do anything for you. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm okay, but yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. And I walk out, and the South African guy's right-hand man, he goes, how'd it go? I'm like, you fucking asshole. You threw me in the lion's den. And he's like, oh, man, it's part of the gig here. He's got to cut your nuts off when you walk in to let you know he's in charge and not you. And we usually don't let security guys on property.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't like you thinking you're in charge of anything here. Mm-hmm. So I literally, at that point, he goes, you're gonna notice people are following you around. Everyone that works here knows who you are. It's part of the gig.
And it's not like you can just blend. You're a large human being.
They're like, that's the guy you got to watch. Make sure he's not making plans with anybody. You don't make plans with anybody.
So they just shut you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just got to party in Dubai and watch.
Well, you got to be careful, like. So I had a fixer. I have a fixer in Dubai.
What's a fixer?
Get you out of trouble. Get out of jail free card guy.
Yeah.
He's with the chief of police and stuff, and he's actually DJ Khaled's cousin. The DJ?
Go figure.
He looks just like him. His name is Fadi.
Okay.
Fadi the fixer. And I didn't think I had to use him. I had to use him the first day we were there. Because the dude that does hair for the band goes through customs, and he puts his bag in the x-ray machine. When you land, you put it in an x-ray machine, right? A lot of people don't know that. You're getting an x-ray on the way in,
Oh,
so,
okay.
He puts his shit in the x-ray, and he's got a 223 around in his bag. He used it as a range bag in Southern California, and then he put his hair and makeup shit in there.
Yep.
And they put it through, like, what's this big? He's pulling off a little hit. What's going on here? And they're like, dogs, I want my treat. You're going to go over there until I get my treat from my boss. I call Fadi, and this guy's freaking out. And he's like, you got to come get me, man. They're going to kill me. They're going to put me in the desert. And Fadi goes and gets him out in an hour. And
it's a nicer version of Tijuana. You just
buy out. Yeah. It's already prepaid. That's the insurance policy. So, I'm like, well, there goes my get out of jail free card day one. We're here for another month.
You spent a month there?
Yeah, man, it was close to a month. Yeah, we had to build that giant stage, and we all lived in the hotel.
Oh, so you were advanced, and then
COVID test every day. We had a COVID tent, and we had to do it twice a day.
What a nightmare!
You had a wristband every day. You had a different wristband. You take this one off, you put this one on. Mask everywhere. I was wearing a mask out of chiffon. I googled what's the thinnest material in the world, and it said chiffon. So I had someone make me one. You can see my teeth through it, And when I met the sultan of the resort, like the head of security, he was like, I think you probably think it's pretty funny wearing that mask, but I don't find it humorous.
Oh no.
Yeah, you might want to wear a mask where I can't see your mouth moving. I was kind of like,
Roger that.
Yeah.
Roger that.
I hated the mask, so I
Oh,
couldn't do
God, that was the worst.
it. Yeah. So that was an interesting time, you know.
So you spent almost a month in Dubai
Yeah.
building that out for one concert, or
Yeah.
did they play multiple just for the
One show.
New Year's Eve?
Yeah, countdown and everything, and then all the biggest fireworks show ever on Earth. So it was pretty cool. I have a video of me doing this when they're all going off. It's just nuts, you know.
That's got to be cool to watch, though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's chaos.
being there for a month, I bet you that place got old quick.
Yeah, I was dressed in a condor at the end. I had the whole headdress and everything on. I was walking around. Yeah, I was being an idiot, but
They're just staring at you like, this dude is giant.
I have a picture of me stuck in one like this, and because they didn't make it my size,
No.
I had to get one made.
Yeah.
It was just stuck on my chest. Like I'm stuck in it like a sausage tube, and everyone's just laughing, taking pictures of me. My arms are above my head. Yeah, so they don't have anything for the rib cage like that.
No, they're slender people over there.
Yeah. So
They're not walking around at 300 pounds, 280 pounds.
So it was an interesting time, though.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah, no privacy there. That's for sure. They let you know that they're spying on you. I mean, it's a well-known thing.
Really?
You don't have privacy. No.
What do you mean by spying on? Like cameras in your room? What's bugged or what? Or are they just
Probably.
following you everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, you're on surveillance at all times. I mean, even the vehicles, like in America, you get pulled over by a cop. He goes, "Hey, you know what? You're speeding." And you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I wasn't speeding." And then you can go to court and fight it. They just take money out of your bank account from your digitally. You're speeding. You just had $50 deducted. You don't go to court. You don't have a lawyer. Your car was going too fast, you know. The first time I got in a car, the driver starts beeping. The car starts beeping. I'm like, what's that noise? It keeps beeping. Oh, I'm going too fast. It's a warning. You know, they just take it out of my bank account if I speed again.
No shit.
Yeah. And if you pull your money out of your bank, you get arrested. If you take a giant chunk of money out of the bank, you go to jail. Until they can figure out what the fuck you're doing. Yeah. Where you going? I mean, every day they find Lamborghinis and shit at the airport, just abandoned. Like, people are moving in and out, creepy shit, you know. So it's a thing.
It's a weird world over there.
Yeah. So.
Did you ever do Doha or any of that?
No, never did Qatar. No. I would do countries where they do concerts. So if it's outside of that 55 I've been to, then no one's doing a show there. You know.
Oh. Okay.
I have one friend that did a show with Soundgarden in Cuba, which was a crazy thing.
Cuba?
Yeah, they did go on a cultural exchange program. You can't make money there. It's a communist country. So cultural exchange. So it was Soundgarden Soundgarden. And, you know, you had to leave your credit cards at home and your cell phones and everything else. You couldn't use any of it. So you couldn't bring anything. Your food, nothing. You just show up and you can't make money. And the band would pay you when you get home, whatever, but you couldn't, like, have cash.
Really?
So they had full-on 24/7 catering, and everyone got diarrhea instantly. Like, everyone.
Go figure.
And everyone's like, you can't call anybody, you can't like spend money, you can't go shopping. And you're like,
You're
this
just
fucking
trapped
sucks.
there.
Yeah.
Oh God, that'd be miserable.
I think they're the only band that go to Cuba recently.
Worst client you've ever had to work with? Can you name them?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. Looks, I just know how that industry is. So what's the worst client you've ever had to work for?
Seal.
Really?
Yeah, so, the British singer Seal. Yeah. Partially, I mean, she's a total prick to me. That's why I say that. The circumstances, it's understandable why, but I just didn't care because I wasn't the person. It wasn't the outlet. I wasn't the punching bag. You know. He was married to Heidi Klum.
Yep.
The previous security guy before me was Martin Kirsten. You could Google him and everything else. Martin was sleeping with Heidi Klum. The bodyguard before me was sleeping with his wife. And they had a full-on relationship. It's well known. Paparazzi took pictures of them every day. Like, a full-on thing. They got divorced over it. They had like 3 or 4 kids together.
And you came in.
And I came in.
So you were hated because you were just...
He was watching me. Who's this fucking guy? You know, like,
big tatted.
Fuck my wife? You know, like, I'm like, no. You know, and I just drove him around. I drove his kids around soccer practice, and I just drive him anywhere he wanted to go. He'd be nice and sweet sometimes, and I got the job through a mutual friend that was working with him in Australia at the time. And he just was miserable all the time, you know? Like, I'd drive him. He had a Honda Odyssey that we'd drive around in. He was staying in a house that no one knew. One of the Clippers owned it, LA Clippers. Mm-hmm. And no one knew he was staying there, and we wanted to keep it there, private. We weren't having Mercedes and shit rolling around. It was Hondas, you know? Tinted windows and stuff, and I would drive him everywhere. And his kids, I pick him up from school, all this stuff, you know. And I remember he just would like, you don't know how to drive. Like, can you drive this car? Like, you know, the problem with Americans is, you know what, you should let me drive. You know,
Okay.
like, everything. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'd go in the house, like, I'd bring this kid in the house, put him in bed because it was just left in the car at night. I'm like, I'll take him in. You know, I've got kids. And you know, like, what are you doing?
Just get up and leave his kid in the car and expect you to carry him in?
Yeah, weird stuff. And then he'd be like, what are you doing? Like, you know, everything was just question, and he was just very untrusting.
Okay.
And just condescending and stuff. And
That gets old
real quick.
really
Yeah,
quick.
so I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Not worth it.
Yeah, no, it was miserable.
When you have a shitty client, I don't care who they are. They're just, it sucks, man.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
But, you know, I heard he's a nice guy, actually. But, you know, it wasn't nice to me.
It's bad timing.
Yeah, bad timing.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. Whatever. Can't win them all.
I'm sure the security gets it in every now and then. That's part of the perks of the
Sure.
in the world, travel in the world.
You know what's weird about Martin Chris, and he was a security guy before me that had a short-lived relationship with Heidi Klum. He went on to do security for Chris Cornell. He was the guy that went into Chris Cornell's room when he was dead.
Interesting.
So he had a affair with a wife and a suicide on his watch. Like, most unemployable security guy on earth. You know, the black cloud seems to follow you.
I would say so. He's
Yeah.
probably. I mean, you're not going to be. No, there's not going to be too many clients jumping up.
Yeah, do me next.
Yeah, could you work for us.
Yeah.
Can you help my family?
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Oh shit.
Yeah. He's probably the worst. Yeah.
Because I hear some horror stories, man. I had to work this. When I had my security company, and we had these guys come in from the Middle East, and they were looking to buy up like half of San Francisco, like downtown, in the slums, and.
Oh God, yeah.
And so we were driving these guys around. They didn't want us armed, and so even though we were, we just
Don't see it.
Yeah, you don't know how it is.
Yeah.
But man, the way that those Arabs talk down to you and treat you,
Oh sure.
I would say they put security below a cockroach.
Sure. You're a peasant. You're the help. You're like an indentured servant.
Yeah. And it was always fascinating to me because, you know, I was running that and so, you know, I had everything lined up, pick up, all that, and airport and everything. And so, man, they just everything.
Don't try to be friendly. Yeah.
The way they look and talk to you and everything about it. And yeah, it was they're only here I had them for 4 days when they flew in, and they wanted to buy up a huge chunk of the shithole part of, I guess, all of San Francisco was shithole,
It's a dump.
Yeah. They were gonna do this big like hipster, all redo everything,
State
and,
Street, yeah,
and all that. I don't know if it ever went through, but yeah, I remember that. That was one of the last gigs I ever worked, and I was like, man, fuck these people, you know. And
that's why I've never done EP. Like people think bodyguard, and then they think of executive protection, but I'm a gig guy. I do shows, you know, so I bring people into space,
dude, you know, because you're there to help and
Yeah.
plan and all this, and us, we're just your security.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess the high pay is the only thing that like, crosses over. Usually it's good pay on EP style, but you know, you got to deal with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And usually a suit or something like that, or something. I wear this to work. You know, I don't have a suit.
Yeah, that's nice.
I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I went to the Grammys, Emmys, Oscars, all that stuff with like.
Yeah, I did John Voight at the Oscars. My wife and I got to go, and I sat with him. I did work for him for a little bit there, and that was fun sitting in that's where we did the walk, the carpet, and all that good shit with.
It's weird, right?
It's an interesting worworld, you know. We were there. We also did. I don't know if you probably never did it. You were doing way cooler shit, but the Night of the 100 Stars. Have you ever heard of that? It was like another big celebrity event.
Together. Yeah.
They had a lot of veterans and all that good
cool.
shit there. So it was interesting working those events. And I mean, dude, these people can't even get a bite in. They can't even get a bite to eat when you're at these. So like, I'd have to stand there and like, can you let the motherfucker eat?
80% of people have Adderall coursing through their veins. And it's just like high energy.
Do you do a lot of drugs on the road?
No. Me?
Not you.
No dry snitching over here.
Do you deal with a lot of drugs on the road? Like just.
Yeah. I won't say who, but I worked for a world famous band, and I looked after the lead singer, and he was a notorious heroin addict, and
really,
I mean, for years. I mean, he's been in the business 40-something years, and you know, I was told that he was sober for 20 years when I got hired, and all they do is I take him to NA meetings, and then he stays in the hotel. He doesn't go out. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't have anyone over. He stays in his hotel room. He's a brilliant performer. He still is. And I meet him in Sweden. And my first show, the first show was in Stockholm, And I go to the hotel and I meet the manager. I meet the tour manager who I already knew. And then I meet the other security guys. All right, cool. Yeah, you're with so-and-so? Yeah, cool. Let's have breakfast. Let's talk. And everyone was cool. I'm like, where's my guy at? He's in his room. It's cool. I'm like, all right, cool. And I go to bed. And I'm like, hey, am I supposed to meet my guy? I'm gonna be with him for 2 years, and I'm sitting in a hotel. Next day goes by, and next day goes by, same thing. Go eat breakfast, wander around town, never get a phone call. And then there's fans outside the hotel and everything, like waiting for autographs with pictures and cameras and stuff. And I just kept walking past them, like I'm not meeting the client. And it was half a week. And then he comes walking in on his own, like he went to the store and like came in with a bag. And then the other security guy's like, "Oh, hey, so and so, this is your new guy," in the lobby of the hotel. I'm like, "Oh, hi." He goes, "Hey, man, I'm just gonna put this stuff in my room. I'll call you later." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, he hates me or whatever. I didn't know what to think.
Really?
And I found out soon after that he fell off the wagon and he was drinking. The bag was booze, you know. So it turned into this thing where, you know, I would find room service trays down the hallway with a napkin over it. He's put a napkin over the trays and shaped like a wine bottle or shaped like a vodka bottle, you know. And I'm like, and then I was like, that's weird. And then the next day, another one. I'm like, well, we're in different cities, so
same thing keeps happening in different cities. Yeah,
and
on his floor.
And I know, and I would order his food for him, so I knew exactly what the plate looked like because he would never eat it all. I'm like, well, that's the steak and that's the berries that he wanted, so, and that's the vodka bottle. And the jig was up, you know. So, you know, I go to the manager and I'm like, hey man, he's drinking, and he's like, I know. Like, yeah, everyone knew but me. Everybody had been around for 10 years. Like, oh yeah, he's off the wagon.
Yeah.
It was me and the other band members didn't know. Like they were clueless.
Really?
Yeah. And then it just got worse and worse and worse, and it would turn into like text messages. Hey, go get me some heroin. I'm in like Madrid, Spain. You know, like,
trying to look for heroin.
No, I wouldn't look. I'm like, I'm not doing that, boss. Like, I'm so sorry, but like, but he had me going and getting vodka, and he'd be like, I don't know how much this costs, and he'd like, here, just take this, and it'd be like €500 or whatever. I was like, well, I'm sure it doesn't cost €500 for a bottle of booze, you know. And he's like, oh, just keep it. Oh, and don't tell anybody. Oh, come here, give me a hug. Give us a hug, you know. Kiss me on the cheek. Love you, man. I'm like, fucking.
You love me because I'm an enabler and buying you.
Shut up. Yeah, it was
alcohol.
Shush money. Just don't tell anybody what I'm doing. You know, I got all the money in the world.
Hey, hush money spends.
So I got warned when I first started. Whatever he tells you, I need to know. The manager. I need to know everything he tells you, right? So I'd be like, all right, cool. He told me not to tell you, but he had me get a bottle of vodka for him. He's like, okay, how much vodka? A fifth. What time was it? How much money did he give you? €500. Just keep it. Good job. Tell me what else he does. I'm like, all right. And he just leaves. I'm like,
that's a weird gig.
And he would just go on stage, blow it away after the show, boom. And then, like, you know, with the tell me everything open dialogue with the manager and I, this guy knew that. The singer knew that. He knew that I would tell his manager everything. And he was playing me. There's like a weird psychological game going on. So I'd go to the gym with him every day. He'd do his sit-ups and everything else. And he'd go, hey, Ryan, did I ever tell you about my manager and what a piece of shit he is, you know? I think he's gay. You know, one time we were in Brazil, back in the 80s, bad old days. We had these prostitutes on top of a limo, and we're just like fucking them. And like all of a sudden, his girl, Twig and Berries, falls out. Meat to veg. You know, it's a guy. And he saw this guy's genitals, and he just kept fucking him in the ass. Like, he must be a fag, right? And I'm like, I'm laughing because the story's ridiculous, you know? And he's like, anyway, that's a funny story. Let's do some push-ups. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then the next day, I go see the manager, and he goes, what'd he tell you? I'm like, well, he told me you're a fag, and then you fucked some guy in the ass in Brazil over a limo, you know, and the manager's like, that's not true, you know? So now I'm like telling the manager all this shit that he's put, and he's having a laugh, you know? He's like, yeah, go tell him. Like, but he knows.
Yeah.
He's not telling, he's like,
he's just messing with the manager through you.
Yeah,
okay.
You want to hear everything I say? Guess what, homo? And then he got mean sometimes, you know, he'd leave his own kids for me, right? Like, he loves the money so much, he would leave his whole family, he'd let them die. And then I had to go to this guy and be like, he said that you would let your kids die to make the money out here. You believe it's not, you know, he'd be all pissed off.
That's a weird position for you.
Fucked up. And then the wife was calling me and everything. Where is he drinking? I'm like, oh, no. I'm like lying to his wife. Like, what? I'm supposed to protect the package. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, like, it gets weird. So that sucks. I mean, I slept against a Four Seasons hotel room door so that he wouldn't sneak out when I went to sleep. I just sat there like this. So if he opened the door, I'd fall in his room.
Did he ever try to sneak out?
No. But like he would send me messages that were like XYZGHHY. I'm like, oh God, he can't even type.
He's on a bender. Yeah.
Oh, he's fucked. Like he can't even type a word. And I'm like, I would catch him walking around, in the hotel lobby, fully dressed. I'm like, hey Dave, where are we going? And he'd be like, oh no, I just came down to get a towel. Yeah, they bring them to you at this hotel. They'll bring you whatever you want.
Yeah.
You have a giant suite. You have a butler.
Pick the phone up. You got it.
He's like, got his leather jacket and the earring on and the glasses, like, rings on his finger. I'm like, go back upstairs. I could smell his cologne. He wore this unique cologne. I could smell it.
You knew if he was in a hallway.
Oh, yeah.
Not. Yep.
And then he started going downstairs. This band had after shows at the hotel.
Oh God!
And fans would show up, and they'd done it since the '80s. And he didn't go to after parties for 20 years because he was sober. He had no business. And then he started going when I was around. So when the fans figured out who I was right away, on the fan club websites and everything, all on Facebook and everything. And they're like, oh shit, Ryan's here. Like, he must be coming. Why would Ryan show up if he's not here? Like, he's always with him. So he started showing up, and he'd go downstairs, and he'd go. He'd walk in. He'd be like, "Is there any talent down there? Is there any like anybody? Women? And I'm like, yeah. I wouldn't lie to him because I knew he was going anyway. At first, I go, no, there's no one there. It's a bunch of dudes.
Still go.
He'd be like, let's go have a look. I go, fuck, and there'd be a bunch of hot girls down there. And then he'd be like, oh, look at that. You said no. They must have just shown up. So I just tell him the truth. Like, yeah, there's a few. All right. Should we go down there? I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you want to. Like, okay. Give me 10 minutes. And then he'd close the door. I'd be like, well, all right. Like I could hear him through the door. I'm like, oh, God. And he'd come out reeking like vodka, and he had like sunglasses on, ready to go. He'd go down there, and he'd just be like in the elevator, like, just like ready to, like a little kid. Be going to the bar, and he'd be like, he'd just go to the first girl that he thought was attractive. Do you want to go to my room?
That's all it takes.
Do you want to go to my room? Like, he didn't hang out or anything. He just go, you want to come with me? You want to go? Okay, cool. And then he'd give him the hotel key. I already turned his key off. I already made a new set of keys because I knew what he was going to do, He'd be like, oh, here's my key. Come up in 5 minutes. And the room number's written on there. And then he'd come to me and be like, hey, I just gave that girl my key. I'm like, I know. And so does everybody else in the bar because everyone's staring at you. You're not slick.
You're the celebrity. Everybody's watching you. You're not.
He's here, the lead singer, And slide the key over. And then I'd get him back to his room. I'd come back down, and I'd tell the girl, like, you could have that key. It's a souvenir.
You're not going up.
Yeah, you can't even get in the elevator with that key. So I have the real key. And then he'd call me like, hey, man, should we get her a cab? Or should we make sure she gets home okay? I'm like, yeah, I'll be right there. And I'd be like, hi, follow me. I wouldn't say anything. I'd just walk to the elevator, walk him, and take him down, get a taxi for him, and be like, nice meeting you. Yeah.
Our roadie's pretty wild.
Yes. They're feral, but also very smart.
Feral, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Some of them are pretty wild. Yeah. I've met some interesting people over the years. Yeah. But they're brilliant.
Are women like willing to do anything to get with these?
It's not really about that anymore. The battle days are over. So there's no backstage buffoonery, like.
Really?
Nah.
All that's done?
Yeah.
Like the rock star metal days all that doesn't happen anymore?
The liability, the cameras, the people around. I mean, there's just too many active eyes on you. So you're doing it on Channel 5 if you do it. If you're backstage. I mean, every venue's got cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and then like, alcohol and like underage people and a lot of considerations, Yeah. Liability is the biggest one.
I was with, I got to go and meet Post at his starting, in Salt Lake. And so we were back and I was talking to his manager and his security and all those guys, and they were talking. And they're like, "Bro, this new Post." They're like, "We love new Post."
Yeah.
And I was asking, like, why? They're like, "He has changed everything. It's only family, very close friends, business associates, and that's it. Like, there's no ragers." Mm-hmm. He goes back, smokes a few joints, has beer, whatever, chills, and I was like, "Oh, this is badass. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the type that I could get behind because." Yeah. But they're like, the days of just the craziness, like that.
It doesn't work.
Those are gone.
It doesn't work anymore, especially for a roadie to act crazy. If the artist isn't acting crazy, then you fall in line. I was with Janet Jackson recently, and it's like, her son's coming. He's 8 years old. She's
Janet
50.
Jackson has an 8-year-old son?
Yeah. which is crazy. And it's kind of like, well, and she's, gone through a divorce. And it's like, you can't have, even with an 8-year-old backstage, it's artists, like, what's going to happen back there? You're going to bring girls back? And it's like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, Janet knows everybody that's around her. She's very keen to what's happening. She's very smart. She's been on TV for 50 years.
Yeah, you have to have your shit together.
Yeah, so you're dialed in doing your job, or you're excused. Like, be professional, I'll be nice. She's the sweetest person I ever worked for.
Yeah.
And but you have to act accordingly. You be sweet too. You do your job, and I'll do mine. And she's a pro, and she practices all day long. She's, she doesn't have it on like, you can't just snap your fingers and go up there, and you have to kill it. Like, she's good at her craft.
Mm-hmm.
So be good at yours, and we'll have a good working relationship. And we'll be all family. Don't bring any girls back here around my son. That's not going to happen. So I haven't been around it since, I first started, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit playing here and there, but it slowly and surely went away.
Now it's business where these performers are just in and out.
Yeah, and if anyone's screwing around, it's the artist.
Okay.
I did Drake last year, and it's like, he can do whatever he wants. He's a billionaire. I get it. He's got his own 747. He flies around in with his name on the side. It says Air Drake. He can put whoever he wants in. He's got 4 bedrooms on there designed by Louis Vuitton,
He's got 4 bedrooms on his jet?
Yeah. And Louis Vuitton, it's all Louis Vuitton furniture and stuff. Yeah. He's a billionaire. He's got butlers that follow him around and pour his drinks for him.
What is that?
He's got a guy that follows him around. He just goes like this and just put a drink in his head. He's got a guy that follows him around that gives drinks to everybody else around Drake. Yeah. Hey, man, you look thirsty. Yeah, you're hanging out with Drake. You want something to drink? He's like, oh, yeah, Mike will give you something. Yeah. It's like, oh, God, next level.
Really?
Yeah, we had 7 guys that were with me on that one, and then we had another 5 that were on top of them. So think about that. You got 12 monsters with you. That like 7 guys are logistics guys, and 5 are just gorillas, with guns. So my job was to make sure that it was a hard exterior, that all the thugs in Memphis and all the thugs in Houston will just walk in. You know what I mean? Because they'd scare everybody else with security T-shirts on, and the cops were even scared of some of these people. So backstage, yeah, you're going through a metal detector, empty your pockets. The only person that doesn't get searched is the boy, Drake. He's the only one. His bodyguards get searched every time. But, there's ways to do things, I post things about how to get metal detectors.
I saw your knives.
Yeah, they don't work. There's all this new technology is bullshit. That's just a big old money grab. Live Nation's got a giant monopoly on the concert business, and guess who's buying these machines? Some company that we found. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sure you own that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Ticketmaster. You buy stuff off of StubHub or whatever. Guess who owns that? It's probably Ticketmaster. Just buying their own tickets and reselling them for double.
Dude, you say this. My wife, last night, they went to Kane Brown.
Kane Brown, yeah.
She bought those tickets back during Christmas. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, due to because you know how they're price gouging and doing all that shit, so they changed some things around. It's like, oh, the venue will release your ticket within 24 hours. They never release the tickets. And my wife's like, we're literally at dinner going to drop off the little and my wife, and she had to buy new tickets. And she's like, we've had these since Christmas.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
They just resell them.
Yeah. When I was with Pearl Jam, it was a big deal. They were fighting Ticketmaster on with it was Neil Young. He used to put Clear Channel. Clear Channel was the company. They just keep changing their name.
Yeah.
That's what like Pac Bell did with the phone companies. He just turned into Sprint or whatever. You just change your name, rebrand Facebook. Now they're what were they? Meta.
Yeah.
You just change your name, everybody forgets somehow. It's like, now Live Nation owns everything. They're in lawsuits with the government too, and it's like if someone's going to get greased somewhere. It's going to keep happening
for sure.
It's money.
Yeah. Follow the money.
Yeah. So I took my my small microphone to say, hey, guess what? This is bullshit. Watch this. And that's when they first rolled out the open gate systems.
Yeah.
Evolve and open gate don't work. The traditional magnetometers work better than them. And those are junk. These are the new technology. You don't have to touch anyone. You just keep walking. And I walk in. Yeah, I keep walking with titanium knives up and down my pants. They're metal. They'll stab right through your head.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this isn't working out. And handcuffs they'll pop on handcuffs with cheap metal.
Yeah. But
the titanium knife that's actually dangerous, nothing. So, and now everyone knows it. Bad people think I'm showing bad people how to do stuff. Like, I don't have a whole lot of thugs following me. It's a bunch of cops and stuff and military dudes, And I'm like, I'm showing good people what the reality is. And this is like, I'm the guy with boots on the ground at the concert dealing with all these people. You do an extraction from somebody, you grab somebody, what's on them?
Yeah.
I know. I treat everyone like they got a titanium knife on them because a lot of people carry, and they tell me about it.
Yep.
So it's like, what are you dealing with? Like, and if someone had an idea to do something at a concert, you get a group of people, that could be havoc.
Have you ever run into anything? Have you had any close calls while working?
Yeah. I mean, I had a guy, the first tour I ever did with Pearl Jam. I was in Nassau Coliseum. It's in Long Island, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what a vom is? A vomitory. Like if you have an arena, there's like tunnels that go into the floor.
Oh yeah.
There's they're called voms, right? And they put seats above the voms. There's like seats above them on the side of them. That's where the players kind of go and they high five people on the way to the locker room.
Yeah.
So I'm walking Eddie Vedder, and he's the last one off the stage. He's just waving at the crowd. Good night, thank you. You know, and he walks down the stairs with the flashlights out. And I was taught to always look up because people will throw shit and like you can grab it in front of their face so it doesn't hit them in the face. You know, sodas, beers, or whatever it is. I look up and I see this guy perched like a what do you call it, goblin or a gremlin, like a Gothic church or something. He's like on the rail,
like a gargoyle.
Gargoyle, yeah. He's like this. He's got his hands on the pole, and his feet are on the pole too, like a bird.
So he's ready to come over.
Yeah, he's gonna jump like 20 feet. Yeah, and I'm thinking like, I have my hand on its back, like, what the fuck? This guy's gonna do it? I didn't know what to think. It was too far to jump. He jumped. And I'm like, I push Ed, and our other guy Jesse grabs him and pushes him, and I tackle this guy against the wall on the side.
Dude jumped 20 feet down.
Yeah, and literally right when he hit the ground, I was like, I just smushed him against the wall, and it's like I was pissed, you know, like
for sure.
So I was like 320 with like a 500-pound bench, so I smashed the shit out of this guy, and a pocket knife falls out of his pocket, you know. It's like everyone got searched, and it's like, was he gonna stab him? Probably not, but he got in the venue with a knife, and he had bad intention. He could have just jumped on him and just put it right in his skull.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, wow, that fast, you know? Like, it doesn't take a whole lot to get something done, you know? People that want to do something, intent is the weapon, you know what I mean? So
somebody wants to do it, they're going to do it.
Yeah. And then, you know, it's like, and then back then it was like no cops backstage or around the stage because artists didn't want to see them because they're usually smoking weed or something, you know? Like, this cop's going to bust me or something. But, you know, nowadays, like, I want cops stage left and stage right and behind the stage between me and my vehicle. So if there's an active shooter somewhere, go right out and you're not part of the active shooter protocol. You're with the artist to get the artist out. That's a PR thing too. You don't want, you know, Guns N' Roses to get killed by some active shooter. That's massive, massive stuff. And your law enforcement agency didn't handle it quick enough. It's like, okay, we need to get you out of here. It's not that you're better than anybody. Everyone's human there. But like also, I can't have Axl Rose shot on stage like 20 feet from me.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody try to rush stages?
Oh God. Yeah. There's videos you can watch on YouTube.
Really?
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I've had stage invaders all my life. Yeah, I grab people off stage. There's a way to do it. You go out there and tackle them, and you end up on the ground. Bad news, bad publicity. You're going on TMZ.
Are you just wrapping up?
Grab them, and you have to know where you're going. You have to calculate it really quick, where they're at on the stage, where your singer's at, who they're going to go for. Probably the singer. You know, not always, but usually the singer. Some people get up on stage just run around, like they're like, yeah, you know, and then they try to jump off really quick before you can get them.
And you're like, nope.
Yeah, you just grab them before, because they're going to hurt somebody. A lot of times they get back out in the crowd, then you can't get them. You're like, oh, fuck. Okay. That's a bad look. But some stages are really wide. Then if you go to a theater, shit, I just did a show. Oh, in Vegas. I was with Janet. So the stage was like 100 yards wide. I mean, it was massive, but
really
shallow. Yeah, so like if someone gets up there, you have to run like 40, 50 yards to get to them.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so, you know, and there's no
She's working the whole stage.
Yeah. So I would be in the down aisles making sure, like, we would identify people way out. Like, first of all, we'd go out, before she went on stage, we'd go, any athletes, you know? Anyone looked like they could physically get up there. You know, this fat, older, 60-year-old woman, not worried.
Yeah.
It's going to take her like 5 seconds to get her leg up on and pull herself up. Anyone athletic, we just keyed right up at them. And if are they looking to the side of the stage? Are they looking for security? Are they touching? Are they looking in front of where they're at? You know, is there a speaker wedge in front of them? Is there a lighting rig in front of them that would block them?
Foot on or hand on?
Well, no, there's something blocking their impeding their way, or it's just a deck, you know, so they could just jump up or they push themselves up and go. And we used to like do little practice runs of how you could jump on, how long it would take you to get to them, you know. So there was 3 of us around Janet at all times, and we were just, you know.
I mean, she's mega superstar.
Yeah.
So that's a whole. I didn't know there was really a difference from like superstar to mega superstar.
Yeah, world famous. Yeah, generational. You know, a Kiss.
Yeah,
they're a huge brand. I mean, you saw little kids, the grandparents or great grandparents. You know, with old shirts from 1972, and I got this at the Nassau, you know, whatever. And it's funny with Kiss, when you'd wear old shit or have like memorabilia, Gene would be like, "Can I have that?" Like, they check this out. I've been holding this my whole life. You go, "Can I have it?" And they go, "Oh, of course." They just give it to him like their prized possession. And he'd be like, "Cool, you're like, Ryan, send this back to the warehouse." He would just take shit off of people, but
Really?
yeah, they were honored for him to take it. But
Yeah.
he's got everyone's cool stuff. He's got a giant warehouse. It's as big as a football
Just
field.
full of
Filled with toilet
memorabilia.
paper, Hello Kitty kiss stuff, you name it. I mean, everything's in there. Pinball machines and golly. I mean, and people just would bring stuff like, "Take that shirt off. I'll give you a new shirt from the merch stand." And people just rip their shirts off and be like, "Here, send this back to the warehouse." I like that. I've never seen that one.
Really?
Yeah. You know what's weird about Kiss?
interesting.
Kiss merch? The most interesting to me, fascinating thing for me is like, you ever seen the logo that says KISS?
Yeah.
They're lightning bolts.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like something else.
Mm-hmm.
Looks
Nobody's
like,
ever said
looks
anything
like
about
the SS. So a bunch of Jew guys have an SS, right? You go to Germany to do shows, they round the S's off on their merch. You can't print that in Germany. So all the Kiss fans of the world want the German Kiss shirts from the shows because it's so unique. It's the only country that doesn't have the lightning bolts. Is that weird?
Interesting.
Yeah. You see graffiti that says Kiss with the SS. People think it's funny to graffiti that. I don't know. It's fucking weird, man.
That's things that you'd never even
I know.
ever
Blow
think.
your mind, yeah.
Tell me the plane story.
Oh shit.
You're supposed to be on a particular plane.
There's a couple. Yeah.
It went down, right?
There's a guy that was doing security for the band Muse, Muse. British guys, really nice. And I had to fly to Amsterdam to meet them and do a few things in England with them. Just real quick, fly dates, press and stuff. They were doing an album launch. So the band didn't really know me. Their security guy wasn't able to make it, so I filled in just for this week.
Yeah.
And we were flying on this private jet. I forget what country we were going to, but everyone's been in Turbulence, been on a lot of planes and stuff. Even you get those air pockets where you drop and you're like, whoa, and then it goes away. This was the biggest drop I've ever been in my life. And it was a really small plane moving fast, you know.
Okay.
And I remember the stewardess, it's like you get private on a private jet, you know, it's like 10 of us on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl's giving us really nice, like, ahi tuna salad and stuff, like really good food. I was on the back of the plane by myself, and I was looking at my phone, watching a movie, and I put my thing down. My salad was right here. And that shit hit so hard that the salad the ranch dressing was all over the ceiling, like dripping.
Really?
The salad was everywhere. And I took a picture of it. I could find it and share it with you. But it was crazy. I mean, there was lettuce. It's like I threw it everywhere, you know?
Really?
And God, I thought I was going to barf. You know, I don't throw up for anything. And I was just like, my stomach was sitting in my throat. And the band was looking at me like, what the fuck do you want me to do?
We're in the air. I can't help you here.
That was a scary one. I mean, it felt like we were going down. It lasted like 4 seconds. So it was just terrifying.
Shit.
We're like, ugh, like we're going down, you know.
Makes you feel helpless real quick.
I had my belt on, and the flight attendant like somehow got her belt on too, and I don't know how anyone didn't hit the ceiling. You know what I mean? It could have been a really bad accident, you know, you break your neck.
For sure.
But I got on one airplane in leaving LAX, and if you ever fly out of LAX, you go over the ocean first and you curve around.
Yeah.
All the takeoffs go over Pacific and then go east. It's to get them away from the landing planes, right? So they kind of curve around.
Yep.
So I was with this band, and I was a younger guy, and the band was cool. They were the same age as me, and like everyone had this plan to eat like a bunch of Ambien right when you get on the plane, and just fucking pass out and wake up in England, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Ryan, come on, we're all gonna be nodded off. No one's bothering us here. Here you go." And I'm like, I'd never really taken Ambien before. I'm like, shit, well, security guy's not supposed to take this, you know? It wasn't prescribed to me, but fuck it, come on. I want to sleep too. I eat the Ambien. Turns out the band didn't even eat it yet. They're gonna wait. I thought we eat it right when we get on the plane, so I eat it, and they don't. Right? So the plane's taking off, and I'm like, shit, I'm already feeling it. I'm like, oh, fuck. You know, I'm getting goofy, right? I already had, like, they were in first class, and I was in coach, right? So I was like, give me a champagne, or give me a beer or something. They knew, the stewardess knew I was with the band, they gave me a beer. You're like, oh, it's fine, don't tell anybody. I'm like, slug the beer with an Ambien. I'm going to be on this plane for 12 hours.
Yep.
Right over the ocean, like literally, not in cruising altitude, nothing like that. We're still going straight up, and it's like boop boop. I got an alarm. I'd never heard an alarm on a plane in my life. I've been on a million planes. I was like, what the fuck? Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. We have an engine failure, and we're gonna circle around 5 minutes. We're gonna let the pilot's telling us exactly what's gonna happen, and I'm like, this is fucking unbelievable.
Here you are with it.
And I'm getting more and more fucked up, like about every minute that we're just circling around. And what they do is they spray foam. Like, you ever seen that? They spray foam all over it's just in case you skid out. Mm-hmm. The landing gear wasn't working. The the monitor that says it's down or up for the pilot said it was not down, and like someone had to spot him from the ground and convince him that it's down. You know, like we see your wheels. You know, I'm hearing all this. I don't know why he's telling us all this information, terrifying my band.
Yeah.
And I remember we landed, and it was like first class always gets off first, right? And when we landed, there was like fire trucks and police everywhere. They're following us, like racing alongside the plane, and you know, all this shit was going on. And then we get off on the tarmac and shit, and the band's like, dude, that was crazy. And I'm sitting there, I can't even walk. You know, I was like, dude, they were going to get a wheelchair for me. You know, it was so stupid. So Spinal Tap, you know. Just wheeled me around like the Ramones,
That's
you know.
hilarious.
So it's the last time I ever did anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
Can't do that again. It's a bad look for the bodyguard, you know. I'd be paralytic.
For sure. You learned a lesson.
Smell like beer.
Yeah, learned a lesson on that one.
Yeah, it's down my shirt.
That's freaking
Oh,
hilarious.
the other plane story. Yeah, the one I think you're talking about. I worked for Travis Barker.
Okay.
Right at the end of from Blink-182.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the Meet the Barkers television show. It was a reality show on MTV.
Yep.
And he was doing a thing with a guy named DJ AM, I believe.
Okay.
Where a DJ would spin next to him playing the drums.
Yeah.
And they were playing clubs. Kind of a hot deal. He always had side projects and transplants and stuff with the Rancid dudes. And he was traveling around the country doing that. I got hired to go do some dates with him. I was doing LA shit with him. He was doing appearances around LA. I'd go with him. It was fine. And I'd get payment from his assistant. His name was Chris. He went by Little Homie. That was like his nickname.
Okay.
Travis hired him from a car washing lot in the Inland Empire, Southern California.
Sounds like something.
He shined the rims up really good. He's like, you want to work for me? He got a diamond necklace on him. Famous stars and straps, you know.
Yep.
And
I forgot about that brand.
yeah, it was big at the time. It was really popular, you know. And Travis from the same area as me. So we got along good. And then, but Little Homie was the guy that would put my payroll in because he was the assistant. And he just was like too stoned or didn't care to like give me my money. It'd be $400 here, $1,000 here. Just overlooked it, you know. I'm like, hey, homie, what's up, man? I haven't been paid in like a month. Just wondering, even corporate America pays you in 30 days. You know, I'm like, what's up? I'll just take cash next time. He's like, well, it's your responsibility. He always have some smart ass shit to say to me. And, you know, I went to Travis. I'm like, hey, man, like, I'm not getting paid. He's like, you know, like that, I don't pay you. Like, I have people for that, you know. So I go to homie. I'm like, look, I'm going to walk. He's like, you're going to walk? Get the fuck out of here then. I'm like, all right, bye. Like, that's my thing. I don't stick around. You don't pay me, I'm not your friend, you know. So I left. The guy that replaced me gets on the airplane for the next gig. The plane fucking crashes. It's a big story. Little Homie dies, and my replacement dies on that jet.
Shut
DJ AM, and the pilots die, right? So the only survivors are DJ AM and Travis, and they're burnt on 80% of their body. And Travis didn't fly forever after that. I don't think he still does.
I don't blame him.
And, you know, that was the one where I was like, holy shit, like, stand up for what you believe in, and then, like, you know, poor guy.
Damn, you would have been on that plane if you were getting paid.
I would have been in that seat. Yeah, that same chair. Sitting across from homie, you know.
That's kind of some...
Yeah. And then, you know, I saw Travis at, like, I was doing a show in L.A. with, Slayer. Slayer got banned from L.A. for 20 years for causing a riot, and I did the first show back.
How was that?
The Palladium. I'll never forget it. It was madness. That Palladium in Hollywood. Like, there's these doors along the side of the floor, and I was just shoving people through these doors and just closing them behind them, and there's cops were everywhere. LAPD was everywhere, just arrested everybody, shoving people through. It's the drunkest crowd I've ever seen in my life. But I saw him at the show, and he looked at me like, you know, Final Destination. Like, oh, this is the dude that left. You know, so it's pretty weird.
Damn, that is.
Yeah.
That's, who would have thought?
Yeah. I escaped the close one there.
Yeah.
So I've had a few close calls, you know, bus accidents. I was on Morgan Wallen in 2022. I was this guy. Then Hardy was the opening act. And I remember we were driving down a highway in Tennessee. We're almost back to Nashville. And Hardy was behind Morgan's bus. And his driver had like a stroke. And the bus went off the road. I mean, you could Google it and see I think there's pictures on the internet.
Yeah.
But the driver had a stroke and the bus went off. And I don't know if you've ever been on a tour bus, but there's like granite tops and stuff and microwaves on the wall.
There's
and
a lot of shit in there.
Everything was tossed. Like, those countertops came off.
Yep.
Like, the couches were everywhere. Like, TVs were gone. Like, you know, no one could find their cell phones. Like, where's my cell phone in this wreckage, you know? And everyone got fucked up. People's toes, bones were sticking out of their feet and stuff. And some people got jacked up, you know. But he was right behind us. You just never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
you know. Shit, I was on a bus with Good Charlotte in Miami, outside of Miami, leaving a show. And we had all this food, you know. You always have food on the bus afterwards, and then you eat it. You know, I gotta eat all this shit. And there were some homeless people on the side of the street, on the side of the highway. And the band was like, "Hey, let's pull over and give them our food. That might be cool." They're just sleeping on the side of the fucking highway in Miami.
Yeah.
And the bus driver pulled over, and we ran over there and just put the food next to him. We didn't wake him up. We just put it down. They're like, "What the fuck?" And just ran back to the bus. And I was like, "Hey, this is a good thing we did. You know, it's cool." And we get back on the bus and continue driving. And like right in front of us, like it was like a minute in front of us, there's this massive accident with bodies everywhere. I mean, like there's huge casualty. Like you couldn't even get through it.
No shit.
And we're just thinking like, damn, if we didn't pull over, like we'd be right in the middle of that thing. It was like perfect distance of where we would have been at that speed, you know? It was like unbelievable.
It's crazy how things happen.
Yeah. And we're like, damn, it's like we never did that ever. That's the first time and only time we ever did that, you know?
Oh shit.
It was like, goodness, it was like something that one person thought about, you know? So
the security world is a wild, I mean, not even just the security world, life on the road is such a fascinating, wild adventure. And I mean, it's probably not as for you because you have so many moving parts, and I don't even know how you even just function by everything that you're putting together. But I mean, God, there's every city's different, every crowd is different, every venue's different, and you have to adapt to all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the adapting really comes with international. I mean, U.S. has got a pretty good baseline, you know. I mean, but A market versus B and C market is big difference, you know.
Freaking what, like language barriers you're trying to deal with, money,
bacteria.
Oh yeah,
money exchange rate. You know, we call them shitters. Roadies have a name for foreign money. Hey, do you have any shitters? that means do you have any local currency? I don't know what they're called. You know, do you have any shitters? Yeah, because you don't learn Thai baht versus you know, pound versus whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, English pound and then Scottish, different bank, same queen. Australia, so the Queen of England. I don't understand.
So you guys just call them shitters.
Shitters, yeah. Hey, you got any shitters on you? Like, how many is this? You're like 10-1. Like, don't break it down. You know, there's like what xe.com I think is what it's called.
Okay.
The currency thing. You just type in what it is, and you're like, oh, it's $10. All right, cool. You know,
makes life easy.
Yeah, and then there's like weird currency shit, like Argentina, U.S. cash is unique there. Like if you have $100 bills, you can get shit for cheaper.
Yeah,
it's like having a coupon. You're like, "What's your bill?" It comes out to $150. Well, I have $100 cash U.S. And you know what they do? You're in a fancy restaurant, and you give them the $100 bill. The waiter will put it down in front of you, and he'll put on like a napkin or a piece of paper the serial number of the bill you just gave him, because Argentine waiters and stuff were known for switching them out. Like, "Oh, sorry, we can't take it today. Just give me your credit card." And they just took your 100 and gave you a fake 100, and then swiped your credit card, paid the restaurant, and paid themselves. So they get a $100 tip on a $150 bill, and then you get a phony bill. So they write down your serial number and they give it to you to show, hey, I'm not fucking around.
Okay.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know, a bunch of numbers, like from the bill. I'm talking to my local guy, like, what is that all about? And he explained it to me. He's like, they kind of have to do that. It's good, like, you know, good thing to do. It means they're honest.
What's a trade secret being on the road, or what's something that most people don't realize that happens being on the road with all these celebrities?
Shit. What you can get away with, really.
Really?
Yeah, with law enforcement with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've witnessed some things, but
yeah, I mean, a lot of guys will just look the other way and be like, "Oh man, don't worry about it." You know? But like, I've seen people blast right through security checkpoints, like without being searched, like getting on a plane in an international flight. Like I worked for a guy that was insane. Like it was a manager of a band. He'd be like, "Take off your shoes." He goes, "I'm not taking off my shoes. I'm not showing you anything. I'm walking through here." And he walks through the beep, 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 opens the door, walks right on the tarmac and gets on the plane. My fucking plane. I'm not doing anything with my fucking plane. Get the fuck out of here. Jerk me off. Yeah, jerk me off. You know, I'm like, and I'm thinking like, I didn't go with it. I wasn't even going to save him. I'm like, fuck that. He's not even the artist.
He's just the manager.
He's my boss. But like, I'm not walking onto an international tarmac. And guess what? Nothing happened. I did it with a band. I'm not going to say who it was, but very well-known band. I flew to Tijuana from L.A. on a private jet. Right? They flew. I was catching them. I had police with me, but they were not clothed. And these guys had like fucking rusted revolvers on them. They were old. They showed up. They were like 60 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, you ever shot that thing in the last 60 years? Fuck, man. And they just were so confused. None of them spoke English. I was like, I demanded that they were like fit and they spoke English, and none of them, they're old.
You got old.
They're just like, también, that's también. I'm like, fuck. They're like, yeah. I'm like, fucking yeah.
Here we go.
So the jet lands at the FBO. It's like the private terminal, right? And the tour manager is like this big shit talker. He's like, man, we're not fucking stuff. We're gonna be late for our own show. And where the fuck are you? I'm like, I can't go past security onto the tarmac. He's like, whoa, what the fuck? Well, I'm just walking through. They want my passport. Fuck you. And he's like, and he had all the passports for the band and everything. Because usually you hand the guy, agent comes on the plane. You put like some money, and Max puts some money in the passport. And you're like, let's get this over with.
Yeah, let's speed this up.
All right, everyone lean in on the jet and take a picture, take your selfie, and then let's get the fuck out of here. You're not going to go, let me run this number real quick. Run it through your Mexican intelligence. Like, fuck off, you know? Get the picture, take the money. We'll be back for when we leave. You know, give you another 100 on the way out. Oh, okay, still be in, you know. And this guy's like, no, I'm searching everything. And he goes, all right, everybody off the plane. And everyone just stands up. They're listening to the tour manager, not the security guy, or not the police, you know. And the police are like, they're doing this. It's like females. They're like, oh, you can't do this. And they just
walk right off.
Walk right into my cars, waiting for them, bulletproof cars, right to the venue. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? The people, the police at the FBO, shut the FBO terminal down when they went to the show. There's no one working it. Like, you can't leave.
No shit.
You can't leave. There's no one there.
Yeah.
Told the pilots to get off property, can't come back in, locked everything, lights out.
Really?
No plane's grounded. Right? And then, so the tour manager's like, fuck. The pilots are like, we can't go back there. Like, there's no, the pilots aren't going to jump the fence.
Yeah.
They're like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. International crime? No. And, the tour manager's like, hey, we got to get out of here. Like, how the fuck are we going home? And they live in LA. We're in Tijuana. It's 2 hours away. I convinced the bulletproof cars of these Mexican cops to drive them to Beverly Hills in the bulletproof cars. Like,
really?
Yeah. And
that's the best part about Mexico. I mean, money talks.
Yeah, they got to the border, dropped their guns off, kept driving. These shitty fucking. In the meantime, one of the guys locks the keys in the car, right? In a bulletproof car. And you got guys drilling the keyhole and shit, trying to break into a bulletproof car. Like, during the show, I'm like, hurry the fuck up. They're going to come off stage in 30 minutes. Like, you know, one car is just blocking everything. It's going to block all the trucks and the whole loadout.
Oh, my God.
And they finally get it fixed, and it's got, like, the hole in the door and shit, you know. And then I'm like, is that bulletproof? And then, you know, they get home, and then, like, I already fell asleep by the time they went home. And I get a call from the tour manager. I'm, like, sleeping. My phone rings. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I'm still in my clothes. Hello? I think something's wrong. He's like, hey, am I supposed to give these guys a tip or something? You know, these Mexicans drivers just drove to America to take this famous Hall of Fame band to their houses. He's asked me if should I tip them. I'm like, man, fuck you, dude. I'm going to bed. Give them whatever you want. I don't care. I'm never going to see these people ever again.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Just give them something.
Dumb.
You made them do a 4-hour round trip.
Gnarly. Yeah, I'm like, well, this is the cars were terrible, too. They're just horrible. Tijuana shit.
Yeah, Tijuana's a interesting place.
1995 Suburban or something. You know?
It smells like cigarettes.
Yeah, it's like terrible. The fucking thick windows. They don't roll down at all.
No. If you're lucky, you get a couple inches on an armored window.
And you know, the doors are heavy to close anyway, but these were like almost impossible.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't open. I tell them, don't open the door, and they thought it was so. Don't crack the seal. I'm like, no, you're not strong enough. I'll do it from the outside. You know.
Yeah. Different world, man.
Yeah.
Different world. The people just don't understand the logistics and the chaos that goes on with it.
Yeah, there's plenty of that.
Yeah. All right. So what are you doing now?
So I just finished Janet Jackson. She's going to continue in Vegas in May and she's doing a residency at Resorts World up there in Vegas. And but I'm moving on to the Rock the Country tour, which is going to be a festival tour in the southeast of the United States, and it's Kid Rock, Nickelback, Hank Williams Jr., and Leonard Skinner.
That's going to be fun.
The 4 big names. Big and Rich and a bunch of other people are there. I think Ying Yang Twins, a band called Rehab is going to be there. Okay. And Afro Man is going to be performing.
He's still alive? Afro Man's still around?
They're at the very bottom of the flyer, but those are the 3 that stuck out to me. Yeah,
he's still getting after it, though.
Yeah. So it's a cool thing. We bring a massive show with camping, 50,000 people to Nowhere, USA. So Kid Rock owns the tour, and last year we did it with Jason Aldean. But Kid Rock owns the tour, part owner, and the idea was to take massive shows to places where people had to travel to go to concerts. You know, like you know, we're going to Ocala, Florida, and it's like, yeah, I used to drive to Fort Lauderdale or whatever. In the past, to go to any show, you got to drive 2 hours. Now I'm bringing it to your house, your backyard, country people, good folks out in America that don't have to drive anywhere.
Yeah.
The only thing is, it's a good idea. It's pretty cool too. Very USA, patriotic. I mean, the vibe is cool. Law enforcement come, multi-agencies and stuff, and because the counties can't support that sort of thing.
Oh, for sure.
So we load in campers and RVs for gun searches. We have gun safes to lock them up for the weekend. Because that redneck 3-day drunken festival is gonna be. You don't want anyone shooting anybody.
So they're not in like a venue. These are like fields and they're just building it all out. So it's like a Woodstock style type of.
And the logistics are kind of a nightmare because places have one highway typically. So it's kind of like, all right, well, what do we do for traffic? How do we get 50,000 people in here efficiently without losing their minds?
Yeah, sitting there for 5 hours.
Yeah, and they kind of have to during their RV loading day, and then there's water and there's like powered considerations for all these people.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so I ended
in charge of that?
Yeah, there's a team of 7 guys that go out there, and we're like, it's called Haven Solutions, and we go in there and kind of make sense of the security part. You work hand in hand with production.
Yeah.
But you have to have the security consideration. So we put cameras everywhere that watch traffic. We got traffic cops that give us intel and accidents and arrests, and we have a full-on jail set up on site. Because the local jail can't support it, and it's too far away.
Yeah.
So you can't even get in and out. So you just got to put them in a tank there. And medical considerations, medevac, because
everything's mobile setups then is what you're dealing with.
Yeah, and we're in a trailer, and it's like the air conditioner's pumping, and it's hot as shit out there in Pelham, Alabama. You just get
middle
roasted.
of summer.
Oh, you're getting roasted.
Just sweating.
Yeah, I need 150 security guys with security or staff shirts on. Where do you get that? I got to bring them from Atlanta. You got to get a big company from a major market and bust them in and get them hotel rooms.
That's not cheap.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. You'll have like people from a different city doing security, and they're sitting in the sun all day long, and like trying to get them not to walk off post. And can I get some water? Can I get a break? You're like, well, where's your supervisor? Supervisor? I go, shit. Now you're like babysitter. You're just having flash. You have a flashlight? I'm like, oh shit. How can you see anything? It's just all the dumb shit you got to deal with.
God.
But I enjoy it. It's good. It's a good way to sharpen your pencil, so to speak, and get your feet on the ground and kind of like show people how to do things.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I know Bobby Ritchie, who's Kid Rock. I know him. I used to work for him directly. So,
he seems like a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, when I got hired by him, his assistant just died.
Yeah, that shit.
Yeah, Sasha flipped an ATV at his house, and Bobby found him.
That's kind of. I mean, that was just this last year, correct?
Oh no, it was a couple of years ago. It was a few years ago. Yeah.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Maybe I just heard about it last year. But
yeah, I Sasha. Yeah, I came in right after, and he wasn't in a good mood. And his friend just died at his house, and he found him. He called 911, and they put that 911 call on TMZ.
Yeah.
And it's a traumatic thing for him. It's like he just went to go down the driveway.
Yeah, and he's screaming on that phone call.
My fucking friend's dead. And all this other shit. And it's kind of like, hey man, you want to come in here and take his place? I was like, fuck.
You took his spot?
Yeah. And it's kind of like, he just was like spinning, and he kept doing shows like right after.
How do you stop?
You just fly in, and then shit. I remember the first show I did with him was in Reno, Laughlin, Nevada.
Oh God.
Laughlin Event Center. It's a dump. I mean, it's just if you're gonna get in, you got to come in at the last minute. If you want to get out, you got to leave right from the stage. And he did neither one of those things. Kind of like one way in, one way out. And there's one hotel across the street, and like everyone's staying there. And then his plane got grounded because the hours went over for his pilot. Like pilots only fly so many hours. So,
oh my God,
you know what I mean? And so we had to go to the hotel, and I'm like, shit, what's he gonna do? I'm like, he's just gonna go to bed, I'm like, no, he went to the fucking casino bar, and everyone's got Kid Rock shirts on. I'm like, this is unbelievable. My first day with him, and everyone's like, Kid Rock. He's like, what the fuck? Like, leave me alone. Like it's like this concert. He's walking in the crowd drinking beer. And I was like, this is a fucking nightmare. You know what I mean? Like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And he was in a bad mood and all the other shit. And I was like, fuck, he didn't know who I was. He's like, where the fuck's my security guy? And he's right there. Like, hi. He came off the airplane. I went to give him a handshake. He didn't know who I was. He just walked right past me.
Oh, like, shit.
Get in the car with him. Like,
all right.
I'll just shut up and sit here, let him, So that was an awkward intro. I just try to stay quiet and just do it.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are these guys? The cops that gave you the escort here. I'm like, rough one.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a weird transition taking over because, I mean, that his friend worked for him for...
Yeah, he was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
And then you got to fill those shoes.
Yeah, the shoes you can't fill.
No.
Yeah, so he's kind of like, be quiet, be professional, do your thing, and
We'll learn each other from here on out.
Yeah, but
I mean, obviously it's been going good, right?
Yeah. I bounced out, went back to Kiss and did Motley Crue and stuff like that. So, I don't stay put. When rock bands go home, I find something else to do. And it's usually
kind of have to, right?
Yeah, so I tour more than the band does typically.
Yeah. Which that takes a toll on you, man. How are you able to stay physically fit?
I'm trying to figure that out. I'm professional help now.
Yeah, right.
It's just crazy, man. Like bass lines are so much different than everybody else. That's part of the reason I moved here 8 years ago.
Yeah.
There was too much action. I was in LA. People would call me, "Hey, come do this, come do that." Here I go. Yep. Couldn't say no. It's like you got to fly me there. You got to get me a hotel room, so now I'm more expensive. Maybe I don't need you.
Yeah.
So I kind of just
slows you down a little bit.
Yeah, I just do tours now. I don't do any of the red carpets and shit. I could, but I just avoid that shit.
I'm sure it seems like being on tour is more stressful, but I feel at the same time being a personal security guard for somebody, that's probably a different type of stress because you're never off.
You're never off.
Even when they're sleeping, you're on. Yeah.
Yeah, your phone doesn't turn off. You can't turn it off.
Yep.
So you have to tell everyone hey man, like don't I'll call you. Like it's just what it is. You'll wake me up. I'm in a different time zone. I'm 12 hours off.
Mm-hmm.
If my phone rings weird, hang up. Because if you're international, the ringtone is different.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that. It's like, boop. Nope. You're like, oh, shit, you're out of the country. Hang up.
Yeah.
Don't wake me up in fucking Singapore, dude. Don't do that. I've had a long day. So it's just like constantly like waking up and being terrified in a bed. Where am I? What am I doing? What time is lobby call? What are we doing today? There's my day sheet.
What have you picked up from being on the road for so many years? Is there any little like things that you do while you're traveling that make life easier?
Make life easier. I think it's just repetition.
Okay.
I always tell people when you get into an airplane, you watch the pilot, get that plane fired up. Boop, 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 dee, dee. 9 or 2, write down this log. Wow, he must be really smart. It's like, I do this every fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as your car. Your kid watches you turn the air conditioner on, heat seater, fucking move the vent, rear view mirror, side mirror. It's like you just learn the steps, So the more you do it, repetition makes you an expert. Yep. So it's just I do it a lot. And when I send my resume to people, they're like, "Oh shit, yeah, you're hired." Like you don't have to interview anybody. It's like if you've been around 20 years at this level, you already know.
Yeah.
I got hired by a very famous comedian, Gabriel Iglesias. And
is he still around, or was this a while ago?
This is when he did.
I was a big fan of his a long time ago. He's been around forever.
In Boise. Yeah, he came to Boise. They fired the other guys and hired me. I was like, they fired the security team.
Yeah.
And I took over. Same thing with Janet. They fired them too. So when you jump in the middle of a tour, it's weird. Because like there was a guy there, now the guy's not there, now you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the artist is like, oh God, a change is bad for an artist. Like, bad in the middle of a run.
They want everything
Pace,
the same.
The cadence, like boom, I do this, same guy, now new guy, I gotta say, sign this paperwork, you're not gonna write a book about me, and shut up. So I jump in there, and the tour director, this guy named Sai Hanif, he runs his tours, and he contacts me. You got any questions? I'm like, yeah. And I said, I already have it built. It's a document I have. It's like, hotels. What are we doing? Day rooms? Are we rolling in? Midnight? What's our check-in time? What are we doing? What does he do in the hotels? The jet. Do we get tarmac access? Do we have drivers every day? How many drivers do we use? Bag tags. Do you have bag tags order? What kind of credentials are we using? I have a list of questions. What kind of dietary restrictions do you have?
That's
allergies?
21 years of experience.
Yeah. Medical conditions, medication. Does he have an assistant? How many? Who's his manager? Who's his road manager? Who's this? And he goes, I'll catch up to you on a phone call. It's a lot of questions, but I like where your brain's at. I know I got the right guy. So it's like if you just show up and you're like, oh, this guy didn't even ask any questions. You can't really create a picture of it.
Yeah.
I asked 20 questions and I have a good picture of how it's going to roll.
Yeah.
Everything else is personality. Like, can you have a conversation with anybody? Yeah, sure. Can you shut up when it's time to shut up? Great. Are you omnipresent? Excellent. Are you helpful?
That's what they're looking
for.
Are
you helpful? I don't ever say I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm going to find out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ever say I don't know.
Yeah.
Shit, I had, when I worked for the Chili Peppers, Anthony, there's things called day sheets that we put on the wall everywhere. We scatter them and said, what time loading is, what time the first band goes on, what time doors open, what time the sun goes down, and then what time the main act is on. And on the Chili Peppers, we'd write sunset, and it was in red, right? So that's not a band.
Yeah.
And Anthony Kiedis was like, hey, I've never seen Sunset play. I might go check them out. And we're like, that's the fucking sun going down. That's not a band. He's like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just things that you don't. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Like Kiss doesn't go on stage if the sun is up. They don't go on stage during the day. Everyone knows that. Duh. How would you know that? So, because they have pyro, and the pyro looks like shit. You're just burning money basically without knowing anyone. No one sees it.
Smoke.
Yeah, it's a clear.
Yeah.
During the day.
Yeah.
So, it was a big thing. I had to know what time the sun set every day. So if Gene Simmons comes out in full makeup, what time's the sun go down, young man? You know, like 7:35 and a half. Like, okay, and he'd walk away. If he didn't know, he'd be like, "Are you fucking new? Like, do you know who you work for? Are you lost, or why do I have you here? You're not very helpful, are you? You smart? Did you go to school? You know, do you know how to talk and speak? You know, and Gene would just shit on you. You know, he's scary. He was 7 feet tall with the makeup on.
Yeah.
You know, the big wig and everything.
Yep. I met him at an event I was working, actually with the wife. I got a picture, and he's big guy. Big guy.
Cowboy boots, leather jacket, sunglasses, hat.
Yeah, he's a big
Top
big
of his
person.
loaf. Yeah.
Man, what a life.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
How long you plan on doing it for?
You know what's funny is when I first started touring, I'd see old guys repping Ben Gay on their knee, like, oh, fucking knee surgery or knee replacement. And I was like 22, you're like, dude, go home. Fuck. You know, now I'm like I don't have too many gray hairs, but I've been around 21 years. So when there's young people out, I just like, dude, get over here, kid. You know, like I'm that guy that's been around. You got it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not at levels for people that have been around forever. Yeah. You know, but I was at the very end of the bad old days, you know. So I've seen the change in the industry, and like, for sure, I was there, you know, like, and I started with Pearl Jam. I didn't start in a van. You know, I never did a van tour. I've never done a club tour. I started with arenas and stadiums, you know, so I've always done the big ones. Damn, man. So it's like, the hard part is you make a lot of dough. And if you've been around 20 years and you're a security guy, director, yeah, you could ask for whatever you want, really. So, you know, I could become a doctor and get the same kind of pay, or I could keep going on the road. Yeah. So that's the hardest part of your job, or what would you consider the hardest part of being on the road with a band? You know, I always told myself, like, I knew a guy. I used to look up to a guy. Well, I still do, kind of. He was with Metallica forever. Okay. And I think he's still with Guns N' Roses now. But he went away for a couple of years. He had personal problems. They sorted him out and came back. And he's on all the movies and stuff with Metallica. You see him on all the films. He's been around forever. And I remember he used to tell the band what to do. Hey, guys, let's go. Put your hand in here. We're going on stage. And everyone would go on him. And then he'd walk on the stage. He'd walk out. I'm like, damn, what a leader. You know, like the band follows a security guy around. It's really weird. I became that guy with a few bands. But then at some point, he just looked like he was over it. Just, you know, hey, man, can I come over here? No, man, I don't really give a fuck about that. You know, like, I just don't care about what your requests are. And no, we're not doing that. And don't really want to be here. But people loved him. And I was like, I never want to be over it. Yeah. So right now I'm somewhere between been there, done that, and over it. I'm like right in between, which is a sweet spot that people like. Yeah. So being away from my kids, really, I have a kid in college, you know, I've been gone most of her life, you know, so it's kind of weird. But there's like a flip side of that coin where everyone thinks it's cool. For sure. What you do is so interesting. Tell me more. You work for so-and-so? Yeah. The clown at the party, so to speak. So, you know, when I first came home off of Pearl Jam, I had gone to like 15 countries, and I was so excited to tell my family of all my travels. It's like a kid going out for the first time. Yeah. And I didn't realize, but I've been talking everyone's ears off for like an hour and a half. And my brother looks at me. I have one sibling, is my brother by 14 months older, right? And he's like, hey, man, no one gives a fuck about that shit. I'm like, just fucking let someone else talk for once, dude. Like, oh, really? Yeah, no, fucking, jerk me off. I don't care, dude. Like, whatever. You know, like, stop. Like, fucking come back to your town where you live with your family and just get off fucking the moon or wherever you're at. I was like, for real? He just punched me in the face with a bucket of water. You know, I was like, okay. So then I just stopped, like, talking like that. You know, just like, shut up at the table. Like, what'd you do? Just like, make sure you're not talking about yourself and what you just did. Yeah. We just broke the Guinness Book of World Records. Yeah, I was in Dubai. It's crazy. They take money out of your car. You know, it's like, it's interesting to people, but like when you're around the people that you're around all the time, it gets kind of old and you're just kind of rattling off stories from the road stories and our war stories or whatever, you know? Yep. You can imagine, right? For sure. If you told your war stories over and over, it's kind of like, all right, dude, it's not your entire life. Yeah. It was a few years in your life, but like I actively still do it, you know? Yeah, but that's tough though, because you're still embedded in it. It's not like you're reliving high school varsity days. Yeah. Like you come off a tour with some band, you're like, holy shit, this happened. Because you take that recipe for
I don't want to say disaster, just for adventure. You got the celebrity aspects, you got the travel, you have the money, you got the fame, you got the women, you got the drugs and the partying. You're going to have
so cool.
incredible stories, but at the same time, it's like people aren't watching that you're the first one up.
Yeah.
You're already scheduling drivers. They need to be staged at this time. We're rolling at these checkpoints. We got to hit this before we get to the airport. We need to resupply here. We're going to land. We need this, you know, and that's what people don't see. They hear like, oh, God, you were there for the Guinness Book World Records, but they don't know that you sat in some hotel for a month dealing with the assholes in Dubai that don't even want you there, and they're spying on you. You know, and it's like, you know, you're like, cool, all for one moment where they come out, they do their thing. You're like, you're probably like, oh, my God, I get to go home.
Off the stage and into the room. Yeah, I just want to be done.
Yeah,
you get in to get out. It's like a doorway at CQB. You're like, get in the door to get out of the door. Don't stand on that door.
Exactly.
You just, as long as they're on stage, they're exposed. I mean, I do events like EP is different from my world because my client goes on that stage on a scheduled time. You know, they're on stage at 9 o'clock right there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you build these layers, and it's like, there's no secret of where we're at. I'm not hiding.
Yeah.
I'm putting them right in the spotlight. And so it's a lot different dynamic when you talk about security.
Yep.
Because you're against the fucking odds at all times. You know?
Sure.
I was at a concert venue in England that got bombed the show before I went with Motley Crue.
No shit.
Ariana Grande got bombed right before I got there. We had to cancel the show. I was like, we were the next day.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like, I went back to that venue with Janet Jackson. And, you know, I'm like, everyone gets a little hairy.
Oh, yeah.
And then guess what? Bomb threat came in. I'm like, all it takes is a phone call. And I'm like, hey, we got a threat. It's low level. We're working on it. We don't came from a cell phone. And intelligence shows up. Counterterrorism shows up. And I have to tell the artist, you know, like, hey, I got to tell you the thing, you know. And all right.
How often are you dealing with threats?
Oh, God.
Bomb threats and things like, is it almost every show?
No, it's not every show. No, but at least once a tour usually.
Oh, okay.
In England, it's more relevant to be on top of things with counterterrorism and local law enforcement and stuff. You know, on the last Janet show I did in that same city, some guy came in the backstage with cameras. He pretended to be press. We don't have press at Janet shows. There's no photographers let in. We have one photographer. It's her photographer.
Yeah.
She's been there, done that. She doesn't need the press.
Yep.
It's Janet Jackson. So I'm very clear to everyone, there are no photographers for that one guy. And here's a picture of him.
And you've got to know him, so you know.
Yeah,
so you know.
He wears the pass right here, and he'll show it to you every time you stop him. He'll be like, here, and then you should know what he looks like already. That's the only guy authorized to take pictures. And this guy, I walk in front of the stage, this guy's standing right in front of her with these two cameras slung over his, you know, and I lost my mind. And I grabbed him physically and shoved him right up to the back. I'm like, called everyone, the general manager and everybody. I'm like, this is fucked. You know, he stood right in front of my artist with this shit, you know, and
he wasn't was he a legit camera guy, or
he was just some dude that was snuck in and was like, I'm with the press, and like some idiot let him in.
Oh,
and
my God.
Just walked in, he had the story, Arab guy, you know. I'm just like, it's like, he's got this machinery basically. He's got these heavy things that you don't even know what you're looking at in an x-ray. You have no idea what you're looking at. I show people all the time weapons stuck on their laptops. They don't even see them.
No.
You know what I mean? I could pack things in my back.
I've brought through TSA having a knife under, not intentional.
I don't even know. Yeah,
I get there, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like, I wonder if I
on
can
the
get
material
home.
and the density of what's on top of it. These people are poorly trained.
God,
so I lost my shit. You know, he ended up going to jail.
Really?
Yeah, for trespassing. Yeah.
Really?
There's another law that it was like intent to do something, deceiving someone under a professional capacity and trespassing. Like, there's a different law there that they arrested him for. So the head of security for the building happened to be a cop too. So he was like, yeah, we're going to take this really seriously. I'm really embarrassed. And like, too, they have problems there. Your building has been blown up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck, you got to be really tight, you know? And I was scared the whole day. And then that happened. I just, boom, blew up. But,
that's your job.
I did a show with Drake in Detroit. And Detroit's got a huge Arab population. Massive. I mean, it's one of the biggest in the U.S. And, you know, some guy called and said he's going to throw grenades at the front line of the queue, the lineup in front of the venue. He's going to throw them at the venue, like at doors, which means everyone's lined up ready to go in at 6 p.m. And boom, grenades are going to be detonated on the outside. And they create a different perimeter, a different hard line, you know.
Yep.
They call the fusion center, you know, you get all the 3 and 4 letter agencies involved and on it. There's some kid pranking, you know, and, you know, you go to jail for that.
Oh, you should.
So you're wasting city resources, and you're like, false terrorist threats and
Well,
stuff.
they don't, that kid's or whoever's making that threat doesn't realize the layers that it went to put that event on at that size.
Yeah.
One little phone call
and there was
fucks a lot of things up.
The venue in Detroit, the new one, the nice one, it's right next to the stadium where the Tigers play, and there's a Tigers game going off too.
Oh, you're dealing with that.
And the end of the game was the same time as the load in for their show. So the loadout for them, the loadout for us, there's mass casualty event written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Secondaries and everything else. They just shut the streets down. Like everything was shut down, just foot traffic coming in, looking for large packages and stuff. And shit, I did a show with Drake in New York City, Barclays, last year. And there was like NYPD showed up, and like we had a fake ticket ring going on here. Like there's people at every single show selling fake tickets. And we've been on them. We're really close to catching them, and it's big on your show. So they had me go out in the street like to go sell them. I was working with NYPD. Like I'm not a cop. They put me out there. I'm on camera. Stay on the set. They kept saying, stay on set. I go look at the cameras and like right here to right here. Remember the landmarks. Stay in that square. It's right next to a subway.
They're filming it all?
Oh, yeah, they're watching. They had detectives all around me, like looking around and on the phone and stuff. It was like a movie set. And I was like texting this guy from my burner phone. I carry a burner phone because I have to. You know what I mean? And I'm texting, yeah, I'm out here, man. My daughter's waiting. She's over. She's in line. She's holding the place in line. I'm right next to the thing. And the guy's like, oh, I'm coming. I got these backstage passes. They were credentials that were real. He sent pictures of them. They're my credentials. They get right to Drake. Like the ones that he was selling online, they go right into the dressing room. If he didn't have a ton of monkeys in front of the room, they'd walk right in.
Yeah.
So I took exception to that. And then NYPD's like, same guy. I think it's the same guys, like we're going to get them. The DA was there.
Yeah.
All these detectives, like New York detectives are way different. You ever done this before? I'm like, kind of. You scared? No. I'm like, okay. Stay on set. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to make contact. And I got cash from the accountant, like $100 bills. And they said, go copy them. So we have evidence. Like put them in a photocopier so all the numbers are shown. So when we arrest him, we could tell what money you gave him. We could prove it. And I put the $100 bills in this. This was a lot. It's thousands of dollars, right? So I'm putting these hundreds in the copy machine. And it turns out the new copiers don't copy money. Did you know that?
No.
You can put a $100 bill in a copier and it'll come out blank. And I was like, wait a minute, this printer's broken. I go to the other printer, same thing. And I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, oh, yeah, some printers don't do it.
Take it all with your phone or what?
Yeah, I had to take a picture and print it, yeah.
Oh, my God, what a nightmare.
I didn't know that printers don't print money. It's like a counterfeit thing. I don't know.
Yeah, paper's wild what we're able to do with people. Your normal American doesn't realize the capabilities of paper, how tricky and the layers of it.
But so the guy saw me out there, and he got scared.
You look like a fucking cop.
Well, if
I saw you standing there, I'd be like, that dude's a cop.
I'm
for
like,
sure.
I'm big. I got tattoos and black glasses. I'm really tired. I really was tired. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking over this shit. I'm gonna leave if you don't come right now. He's like, dude, don't leave. I sent him a picture of the money and everything. I'm like, dude, I'm standing right here next to the thing. And they were worried that this guy was gonna fucking there would be multiple guys that fucking roll me. That's what they were worried about. And I'm like, I'm not nervous, really.
Yeah.
They were right next to me. They were close enough. But then I figured it was someone that knew me, like my face, because I'd been around for 60 shows by this point, So I was around Drake for a long time.
Okay.
And the guy's like, forget it, no deal. Like he told me he was really close and he could see me, and he's like, no deal, and he took off. I'm like, fuck. I waited out there for like an hour. And they found the guy, and something happened to him. I don't know. But they found the guy that Drake's people found him, and something else happened. I don't know. I wasn't there.
How is Drake? He's under a bunch of shit.
Yeah, nice guy. I never saw any buffoonery.
Yeah, good.
I never saw anything. I was around quite a bit. He was living in the arenas with us. Like
really?
Like in Memphis. He wouldn't go to hotels. He would live in the dressing room for the Grizzlies.
Really?
Yeah.
Just easier.
Security.
He's a target.
Security. Like there's a reason people don't stay in Boise. What hotel would you stay at if the best hotel in Boise? 300, the one across the street. What else? You got the Holiday Inn. There's no Four Seasons or anything here, so there's no 5-star hotels in Boise. And by deduction, you could discover where the artist is at. They're in the same 100 yards downtown. That's the only place to stay if you're an artist, and you're just inviting everyone down there if they find out. And everyone that works at the hotel is going to tell their friends and post it online.
Yep.
Because we're not used to having celebrities here, so
is that why? Is that a big reason where we get all?
Because a tour manager will go through their schedule and be like, Boise, B market, let's just go to fucking Seattle. And stay at this nice hotel with restaurant selections and stuff. We'll be there for a couple of days.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, the nice
I've
restaurants.
never compared like that's what would, because I always ask. I'm like, I see these guys. I'm like, God, no one ever comes here.
Yeah, they don't stay.
Well, I guess Post and Jelly Roll are coming.
Yeah, they just came. My buddies do security for.
Oh yeah,
for
did they already
Jelly
do that, or is that coming up?
Jelly Roll came recently.
Yeah,
So
but
I
I
went
think they're
down
coming back for that their spring
Stadium.
tour.
I do Albertsons. Yeah, I was trying to get on that with Jelly Roll, but
Oh yeah.
it didn't happen. So they already have like a bunch of security guys.
Oh,
with
yeah.
them, like more than he needs, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, nice guy though. You know.
Well, fucking hey, dude. I appreciate you coming on. This is a cool look into the world of what it takes to run.
Yeah.
Some.
It's a lot.
Some tour security management. I mean, you talk about wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You got quite the resume.
Yeah. It never stops. I'm always evolving. You know. You never need to act like you know everything. You know. It's just I try to put myself in different positions. You know. Where I'm the new guy sometimes, or if you hang around a band like I did with Kiss forever, then it's like you kind of lose sight of a lot of things, you know.
Like what?
I went from Kiss to Drake at some point, right? And with Kiss, I'm rolling around like a boss man. Like everyone knew me there. I did whatever I wanted, you know. Like I didn't have to sign off with anybody for anything. If I wanted tickets, I'd pull them out of my pocket because I was a ticketing manager as well for Kiss.
Okay.
And the guest list ran through me. So every time I walked into a venue, I'd get handed 100 hard tickets. They're all P1s, or P1s are the highest level ticket. And then I'd go through the guest list, and obviously the band's guests would get the best ones.
Yeah.
Tommy Thayer's tickets would be on his side of the stage. Gene Simmons' friends would be on his side of the stage. So I don't have to hear about it after the show when they come backstage. Like, yeah, I was really far away from where you play all show. Why are my guests on that much? You know. And then it's like, Paul Stanley, where are my guests at? I'll put them right in front of you if they want. You want floor seats? You want ones off the floor? I'd give them an option, Usually off the floor so you can sit down, Like, I guess don't want to stand the whole show. They just want to sit there and watch the show. They're 70. It's my mom. Where are you going to put her? It's like build a riser in the middle of the flour for mom to look at you.
It's insane of how and just how many layers that you're dealing with per show.
Yeah. But then I go to Drake, and I'm no longer the ticket guy. I'm not the guy that's been around 10 years. I've been around 10 days. And, like, I don't have that status there anymore. So you got to check yourself. Be like, all right, I'm a security guy. They don't need to know my name or anything. People probably never learn my name.
Yeah.
I did 70 shows with a guy, and he didn't know my name. There's no way.
Really?
No way. I said I talked to him like once in like
Drake or just
like 6 months. He doesn't roll like that. He doesn't like roll around and hang out with roadies and stuff. He just moves with purpose. I go here, car goes straight here. Boom, we go to stage, then you go here.
You travel with Drake that long and just you don't ever have a conversation?
No.
Just doesn't give a shit, or just?
No, I just don't put myself in front of him. I mean, he's got a bunch of people around him. It's like, you holler at me if you need me. There's no one here that shouldn't be here.
I feel that it's either a very high trust level, or they just.
Well, he knew who I was.
Yeah.
It's just like, like you just don't attach yourself to people. Like, I mean, he's got 12 security guys around him.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the main 5 guys around him. I'm part of the second layer.
Okay.
Like when he showed up to shows, he sees me first, and I make sure no one touches him. And he walks right through the metal detector. It's like,
yep.
And then I walk him to his dressing room. I drop him off with his dressing room gal, Abby, and then I wait for his bodyguards to come in because they're getting searched.
Yeah.
After
spending so much time with these celebrities and just different personalities, does it make you realize like they're just like everybody else? Or
yeah, people say that to me all the time, like, hey, they're just humans like everybody else. Yeah, that's true on a biological level.
Mm-hmm.
But also the word fan is short for fanatic. So they really aren't like other people. There's something that makes them a star, and that's the reason that people fill arenas for them. So they are like other people because they are human.
There's something different
but
about
they
them.
have a star quality about them. And some people are superstars.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where other celebrities look up to them. There's people like Tom Cruise where you're like, what a megastar.
Mm-hmm.
And then celebrities get around people like that, and you're like, oh shit, Tom Cruise. Or Sylvester Stallone. The first time I saw Sylvester Stallone in person, I was with Hillary Duff at Ferrari in Beverly Hills. She was looking at cars. And I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Rambo. That is Rocky Balboa. And she's like, what are you talking about?
No
She's
idea.
like 19. She's
Yeah,
like,
no
what?
idea.
She's like, why are you acting so funny? I'm like, dude, fucking Sly Stallone. Stallone, come on.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you're weird.
She's like, no idea.
I don't even know who that is. Yeah, she didn't know who he was.
You're like, oh God.
Yeah, it's like, it's all
You're
relative.
like, all right, we're going home. Yeah. We're renting movies. You're gonna sit your ass here and watch all of this.
You'll see. I was with Janet in Vegas and Missy Elliott. You know Missy Elliott?
Oh yeah.
She came to the show, And she came backstage, and like she was like, oh my God, it's Janet. Like, you know, it's a celebrity, but another celebrity at a different level. Like you were what I watched as a kid. You're the reason I'm here. I've watched you. I want to be like you, and like, and like, holy shit, you know. So there's different levels to it, you know.
Which is it's funny to think about because, you know, a big lesson that we try to teach our kids: you idolize no one.
Yeah,
idolize no one, and then here you are.
Taylor Swift, can I go?
You know, but it's one of these things where it's like you have these celebrities that are, even though they're a mega celebrity, they're starstruck over other celebrities.
When I met Taylor Swift the first time, I was with Hillary, and Taylor was a known name, but she wasn't T Swift. No. There was no Swifties, you know. Like, I was doing a photo shoot for some magazine. There's Hillary, Taylor, and like Lauren Conrad was the other one.
Okay.
So 3 girls were in this like photo shoot, hair and makeup and everything, and like Taylor was like the youngest one. She was kind of like this small and goofy sitting there. I remember her security guy was Greg Dent at the time, and her mom was there, and Hillary was like, yeah, like she hasn't said hi or anything. Like, I don't know, it was just a weird, you know, celebrities around each other in that close proximity, especially females. It gets real strange. But Hillary was definitely the biggest name there.
Yeah.
You know, so it gets weird. Now she's a megastar, like super duper. And
psyop. She's a fucking psyop. Yeah. I'm sold on that one.
I never thought she was that talented, but whatever. It's
not. That's the thing.
I don't think
I'm so glad I don't have Swifties for kids. That's one thing I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
We don't listen to that bullshit here.
I know.
Not doing it.
I don't like it.
Not doing it.
None of my business. You know, when I first started working in rock and roll, I was working for Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And there was a spotlight that was kind of like weird and out of place, like to me. I don't even know what the fuck I'm looking at. I've never been to a concert in my life. I'm like, is that light broken? You know, the band was standing around me, and I was on the middle of the floor. And you know, every band looks at their stage before they do a concert. They want to see the light show. They want to sit there and make notes. I don't like this. I don't like the video wall. I don't like the spotlight, the fire or whatever. And because they're on the stage, they got to learn what people are seeing. And I'm out there with the band. They're watching the light show stuff. I'm like, that light looks like it's broken. You know, and the production manager looked at me. His name was Jerry Gillen. He was like, shut your fucking mouth. He's like, I don't need these guys hearing you say that something's broken up there. Like, you're not the lighting professional. You're not the lighting director. You didn't program that Viper light.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's 2 things that you don't talk about. How does this look and how does this sound? Go do security guy.
Oh, no shit.
I'll rip your fucking lips off.
No shit.
Yeah, and I say that every week. I say that like once a week. How does this look? I don't care. I don't care. It's not my job. Not my gig, buddy. I don't gig hop. I do my gig. Yeah. You call it gig hopping when you get in someone else's lane. You're like, and you know, I had another tour manager who was with Kiss early on. He was like, you ever seen a car accident when a car veers out of their lane? What happens? And he goes, bah! And he puts that in your face, you know? And he goes, you're dead. And what happens to everybody else? They keep driving past you like nothing ever happened. So that'll be you if you keep your mouth open. You're gonna go in someone else's lane. Everyone's gonna keep going.
Roger
this
that.
Train ain't gonna stop. You'll just be off the train. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like, stay in your lane, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, lessons are learned.
Yeah. So I tell young guys that now.
Stay in your lane, buddy.
Yeah. Bah!
Yeah. Give them the same analogy. You're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the same time, you know, the client or whatever shows up and they think everything's perfect. They don't. I feel like they never see the shit show and the chaos of everybody trying to make it work, and somehow it does. They just walk out, do their role, and they go right back to their bus or whatever it is. So when they hear somebody pointing things out, that's gonna.
Yeah. So we almost blew up the Guinness Book of World Records guy in Dubai. He didn't listen to what I was saying.
Wait, so because you had to have it certified.
I'm like, yeah. So he's busy like typing the numbers, and I'm like, yo, you're up on stage. This is New Year's Eve, dude. All those fireworks are gonna fucking go off in 2 minutes. Get your ass on stage, please, and thank you. 1 second. Once I'm just finalizing the signatures, I'm like, dude, do it after. You know, and he's like, okay, I'm done. I'm like, come on. I grab him by he's in a suit with a briefcase, you know. And he's supposed to go up there and like, largest thing in the world, yay! And then Paul Stanley goes, all right, 3, 2, 1, boom. He's got a countdown thing in front of him, everything. And Paul's just like, where's this fucking dude at? You know, we're on rock and roll night party every day. The finale, the confetti's coming out. And he comes out, and I'm like, go, you're up. When you're done, get straight back to me. I have my light. I'll do this with my light. You need to come straight to me. Do you understand? And the guy's like, yeah, sure, you know. And he walks up there and he goes, on this day, the Lord's year, 1990. You know, I'm like, we're all on the side of the stage going, oh, fuck. And Paul's over there, like, with his makeup on, like, what the fuck?
Hit the button.
And he's, like, edging him out. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. He's kind of like, okay. He's, like, looking at me and everything, like, whoa. And there's these flame boxes. So it's like a box on the ground. They shoot these fucking 50-foot flames. You know, like it's hot as fuck. If you're like 20 yards away, you're like, ooh, like it burns you. He was between two of them.
Oh my!
They're God. We're all flashing our lights, and he's like looking down. He can't see because the spotlights are in his face. He's like, suit in a briefcase, and then boom, pyro guy's like, fuck it, bah, hits the button, and he goes, ooh, like he's between these two flame boxes, and everyone's like, oh, like I remember the production manager grabbed the manager, Doc McGee. They were hugging, like, oh fuck.
You guys thought you killed this dude?
Oh, we all flinched, like we were grabbing each other, like, oh. And then he's like, whoa, and we're like, dude, you almost fucking died out there. Like,
comes out, he's just smoking.
Live TV, dude, like all over YouTube, fucking New Year's.
Oh my God.
And this guy dies at a kid's show. I'm like, timing's everything.
Yeah, right?
That was one of those surreal moments where like, dude, no one died. It's crazy.
We're like, pack it up.
Yeah, we're out of here.
Yeah, at that moment, you were probably like, I am so over being here.
I know. So dumb.
Fucking A, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I
appreciate your time. This is a great conversation. I love the stories.
Yeah, man. I got a bunch of them.
Oh fuck, we'll have to have you
not
back
for TV.
on.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them. Gnarly ones.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
we'll get there at some point.
Well, dude, travel safe.
Right.
I know you're headed back out on the road and head on a swivel and go get some more stories, and we'll have you back on whenever you're ready to tell some more. I'm sure this one's gonna go pretty well.
Awesome, man.
This is 100. He's even nodding. This is what we like to do, man. Just have conversations with people and just open up people's eyes to different industries and what goes on in the world. I mean, people just don't think about just the logistical nightmare that goes on to a concert. Even the performers, I'm sure, don't even know half the shit that goes on. So thanks for coming and sharing that with us, man. I appreciate your time.
Perfect.
Thanks,
dude.
dude.
Cheers, man. Thank you. Right on.
Did you want to talk about knives or anything, right? Are you making and selling those? You want to plug it at all?
I'm trying to think of what I got. I got one coming up with half-face blades again.
I actually want to get him on the
Andy?
show.
Yeah.
I want to get him out here, man. Maybe you could put in. I met him just recently at down in Salt Lake.
Okay.
I followed him since the beginning, like when he first got out.
Yeah.
And so, but I was walking randomly through an expo, and I was like, I know you, and I'm like, dude, and so we started bullshitting.
Nice enough guy, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just walking the show, and I'm like, you, and then he walked away. And my buddy's like, who's that? I'm like, you have no idea who that fucking dude is.
Yeah, it's weird. He followed me early on. It was really weird. Like I wasn't even following him. He gave me a follow for some reason. Maybe it was because a bunch of SF dudes I know were like on my page somehow, and he followed me, and I was like, that's cool. He's got a cool story and stuff. He was still making the knives back then, you know, and randomly, he hit me up like, hey man, want to design a blade for us? And I was like, fuck yeah, half-face blades. Yeah, it's fucking huge. And he's like, come up with a design and a prototype and stuff, and I'll get it done. And he made a prototype, sent it back to me. I tested it. You know, I talked about metal and hardness and like, you know, cryo and quenching and all of this stuff. And you know, I tested it on a bunch of organic medium and did a bunch of knife karate guys over and they were testing. Hey, nice design, you know. And it did really well. Sold out in 7 minutes. I think he sold like 100 blades or 200 blades in 7 minutes.
Really?
And you know, I got paid and everything, which is like, you know, wasn't used to that. It was just kind of a hobby. I was like, fuck, I want to do this all the time. Yeah. So I'm like, I got another one. He's like, send me the 3D print. So now I have access to a 3D printer, and I just keep spitting out designs. And you know, I want to go as fast as he can go. But he's got such a big business now that it's like, oh, next quarter,
a bunch of employees.
Yeah, next quarter. I'm like, what's that mean? In 3 months? I'm like, fuck, let's do it now. I'll have so many ideas between now and 3 months. So I'm learning to kind of like crank out the ideas and put them in front of him now, so we can kind of, you know, put on every quarter we got an idea.
Dropping one. Yeah. What's the name of what you're doing now? What's the name of your company so people listening?
Oh, Fieldworks, FLDWRX. So right now, if you go to fieldworks.com, it's pretty much a T-shirt mart. Okay. I've been really careful to not exchange money with people, so to speak. You know, I'm somewhere in Scotland doing something with whoever, and now customer service, and when's my knife coming? All this, it just takes up my bandwidth. Yep. So I want to be on the design process, and I want to be part of the whole thing. But I don't want to collect people's information and then take their money and then ship to them and then deal with, you know, everything else. Okay. You know what I mean? So I've been very careful not to do that. Even the T-shirt company is direct-to-garment printing,
which is the best.
I don't see there's nothing hanging anywhere. There's no shirts made already. Nope. So can I get one of those? Yeah, order it online. Yeah. I gotta go back to Idaho and go to the shop to get it. You know, so. I won't do that. You know, I collaborate a lot with people, and I try to keep my hands out of people's wallets. You know, I know what a nightmare that could be. It is, and then it'll just eat up your time and a lot of money and stuff like that. So. Yep.
That's cool that you're able to do that and get your name out there, or at least be part of the process, and then send it off to him. He takes care of it. And
And we got mutiny medals. We have a gun shop downtown Meridian. It's called Bishop Defense. I don't know if you've been there
I
yet.
don't know that one.
Yeah, Bishop Defense is downtown Meridian. Evan Bishop runs it. It's his store. Got a store in San Jose as well, called Bullseye Bishop.
Okay.
And they service each other. I know it's pretty slow right now with gun sales. So
Is it?
yeah, but we have custom slides, magwells,
Okay.
barrels, threaded barrels, non-threaded barrels, triggers. We got our own frame coming now.
Really?
So a full-on pistol setup at a la carte, however you want it. And we're going to do a pistol for Ed Calderon. So Sneak Reaper Industries, Ed Calderon's the Mexican cartel cop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard of Manifesto radio podcast.
Yeah.
So Ed's a good friend of mine, and he's going to do a Sneak Reaper gun. So
No shit.
that'll be a hit. Yeah, he sells everything. He can sell anything. When I started trading with Ed, we found out we both had mutual interest in precious metals, gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like money in the bank. I just don't. It's a number on a computer.
Yep.
And I know too much about. I know too many hackers to like be comfortable with that. So I put a lot of my stuff. I was really cautious about Bitcoin and everything else too, because I'm like, oh, the new thing. So I'll just buy the gold.
Yep.
No one knows where that's at. So I feel better with that. I always say, and that gold and silver is transferable anywhere, and I can get anywhere. And I have cartage companies that can get stuff anywhere. So you don't carry it with you on an airplane. Raise a red flag,
Yeah.
So anything over $10,000, you get flagged, right? You get arrested. Yeah, if you get caught twice, you can go to jail.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, if you have one, like we used to go to airports to break out $9,000 to everybody, just to get on the plane and land. And you give it right back, Yeah,
that's how they're doing.
one guy carries the bag, but we get on an airplane, $9,000 for all you fuckers, and then when we get off,
Yep.
I have $100,000 back in my bag.
Yeah.
So that's the law, anyhow. But yeah, precious metals. We sell silver. I was branding silver, so I got a bunch of cool people to put their logos on the silver, and $28 at spot for silver. It goes for $40 online. It's $12 an ounce. We make it on silver pieces for a special stamp.
No shit.
So with Ed, we were selling 1,000 at a time. Right? Just 12,000 in an hour. Okay, you could hear the and then we were doing it for special causes too. I got a group called Special Projects Community, SPC. It's a group of ragtag dudes like me, some cops, some like outdoors dudes, Ed, hackers. Like there's a bunch of stuff, and they're cool guys that do different things.
Are they local here?
No, it's the guys from all over the world.
Okay.
And we just started this group online called SPC, and then Special Projects Community. We started doing things like showing people how to do this and showing people web security, OPSEC,
Yeah.
PERSEC, OSINT stuff, and then we would find some people like on the web that were having a hard time, like someone died. We're going to collect money for this people's family, pay for the funeral. So we're going to drop this silver tomorrow, 5 p.m., and we get that 12,000, send it to the family of the person that died or whatever. We had a kid that was bullied, online. He had Nerf guns and he was doing like presentation drills,
Yeah.
and he was like doing mag swaps and stuff, and he got shit on all over the internet. And he was, he had learning disabilities and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and a bigger kid, and we flew him out to Vegas, and he was training with SEALs and running nods and stuff.
Oh,
And,
shit. That's cool.
with pointers and stuff. He's wow, full auto. And then he went online, made a video. We made a video out of it. His mom flew in with them and stuff. And he's like, check me out now, nerds. So I brought him up.
That's cool.
We had a K9 foundation. We did a Malinois foundation. We donated $12,000 to train Malinois for people that needed them. And then we did a thing with Baz Basilton, the Recovery of Kids, ARC, it was called. Recovery of Children. He goes out and gets kids that have been abducted and stuff. He goes and finds them. Old SF dude or CIA creep or something. I forget what the story was, but try to put it to good causes that we all came up with. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, on the side branding silver. You get the silver nugget, and it's kind of a cool story you could tell people about and carry it in your pocket or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to pay Mexican cops with gold. That's how Ed and I. You just give them a piece of silver or gold, and like, do whatever you want.
God, I feel like I feel like I could just talk to you for days. I'm sure I haven't even peeled any of the layers back yet.
You've deep.
All right, I'm gonna have you back on. Okay. You're definitely coming back on. I wanna pick your brain about some more stuff.
Yeah.
But man, good for you, dude.
Cool, man. Appreciate your help.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on and appreciate Raul recommending you.
Yeah, Ro's a gnarly guy. Yeah,
dude, he's hilarious.
Great shooter,
yeah, really good. So he was like, man, you got to get this guy on. I was like, done.
The first time I met Ra was at, who Bill Rapier is?
No.
SEAL Team 6, Gold Squadron. I trained with him.
What's his name?
Bill Rapier, AMTAC, shooting AMTAC firearms.
Nope.
He's in Coeur d'Alene.
Okay.
He's in Idaho. Solid dude. 6'4", black belt. Fucking, he's better shooter than anybody I ever met. And just a solid guy. Like he's just dialed in on everything. I showed up to one of his classes. It was like a combatives class, and we were doing like we were hitting stuff and shooting and medicine and stuff, and stay out collie knife, knife karate, and Raw was his host, so he's the guy. He showed up at the class, and he's like looking at my tattoos and stuff. He's like looking at me. He's like, "How much time did you do?" Like he just came up to me. That's the first thing he said to me. And I was like, 4 years, University of Kansas. And he's like, all right. That's the first time I met him. Yeah. And then, first time I went to his house, we had like a little get together and get in the pool and stuff between days of shooting and stuff. We shoot for 12 hours, go to his house, swim, eat some food, tribal stuff, get to know each other. And I show up with a 18-pack of tall boys, I was like, yeah, we crack some Bud Lights or whatever, And I show up and he's kind of looking at my Bud Light like, yeah, come on in. And I'm like, hey, boys, what's going on? Who wants what? I start cracking it open. And Bill's like, I don't drink, Ryan. And he goes into the story about how, like, one of his SEAL buddies killed another SEAL. And it was like, he stopped drinking that minute. And I'm like, Raul, you want one? And he's like, no, I'm Mormon. I'm like, oh. And then everyone else is looking at me like, no, I don't want one either. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I already have one open. I'm like,
bad.
I'm like, well, I'm going to drink this one. I don't give a fuck,
Yeah.
And no one else drank any beer.
Really?
And I'm like, hey, you want this for your house just in case company come over? He goes, no, you can take it with you. I'm like, oh my God. I walked in with an 18-pack. I walked out with a 17-pack. Awkward. Yeah, so that was weird. Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah, so I won't do that ever again.
Yeah, right?
And no booze allowed.
I'll just show up.
Yeah.
I'll feel it out first.
Yeah.
Make a beer run later, but cool, man. I appreciate you.
Right on,
Get
man.
you out of here. So I know she's probably like, get me out of here.
I gotta pee.
Yeah, right. Well, cool, dude. Thank you,
cool.
man.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate you. We're definitely going to have you back on for sure.
Right on.